On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will reflect on their Skeleton Crew preseason predictions as they try to decide if that series should be considered top-tier Star Wars or not. They'll also look to the future of the Mandoverse and how At Attin and its citizens may fit into the galaxy now that they've been revealed. These guys may even riff on some of the leaks coming out from the Mando and Grogu movie. And of course, they'll end the show with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Let's watch that intro again one more time, my friends. Hey now! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. I am Nicholas once again. No, not with the D word, with the N word. Nicholas, all right? I know some of you think I'm the other, but that's not the case. It's just teeny tiny, especially when it's super cold out like it is right now in the Midwest. We're going on 2 days of work being canceled. It's so damn cold. It's ridiculous. Yes, Star Wars Order. I am bald. Yeah, you know, I kind of had my work uniform off when we went live there. Put it back on, that's not to scare anybody with the bald head. But yeah, I'm a baldy. I don't completely shave yet, like young Nick, but I think it's getting close because my forehead now essentially starts at the top of my head. We're like right in the middle of my head. So, hey. I'm here. Nick should be here. Okay, he little work thing going on here, and really moving forward, we may need to just start moving the show kickoff time to 5:30 versus 5. You know what I mean? A little 5:30 versus 5 type of deal. That way we can potentially account for young Nick's late work meetings. But I digress. How's everyone doing here? That's right, the lucky Buddha head. That's right, Divided. Which is funny. I don't know if anyone knows this or it's some of you noobs around here, but before I started Star Wars Time and StarWarsTime.net, I actually ran a site called EntertainmentBuddha.com. That's right here. This guy was the Entertainment Buddha. Site's been dead for a few years now, but it was a good little side project. Got me into the video game media, if you will. Bunch of trips to E3, bunch of stuff to review, consoles, TVs, smoking devices, believe it or not, towards the end of Entertainment Buddha's run. But yeah, I've got an affinity for the Buddha here at SWTS HQ. Sorry, I'm a little out of it today because, like I said, it's been a weird week here in the Midwest. Especially in Columbus, Ohio. We have a new national champion CFP team. That's right, the Ohio State Buckeyes winning the big game on Monday versus Notre Dame. I'm not just a fan. It is my alma mater. So, yeah, I've got some affinity for that school, for the football program. And as much as I hated Ryan Day 5 or 6 weeks ago, I now love the man and will love him for the rest of my life because he won, and winning means everything in life. Everything! Not just in sports. You got to win in everything. Let's check in on the live stream here while I'm by myself. It's always nice to see the friends coming in. We got Star Wars Order, Lord of Thane, SW, B-Mads up in there, and I saw Divided and Bat as well. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I am... Star Wars Order is asking, you're worrying about football, but we got a new president just 2 days ago. I know that too. I've just been, I'd rather think about national championships and stuff like that, and Star Wars versus the new regime coming in with a fitting salute by one of their favorite people. So we're going to stay as far away from that type of stuff as possible. I know in the past we'd sometimes get a little political on here, but I'm over it. I'm going to keep my head buried in the sand for as long as I can. I'm tired of being informed and in the know because all it does is frustrate me and makes me angrier. So it ain't worth it, right? Woohoo! I'm blind as a bat, like most Americans. I am riding this ostrich style. You know what I mean? All right. So football was awesome. Then the weather came in, so we got a bonus day yesterday, a bonus day today. No work because it's so damn cold. The kids can't make it to school. So it's been nice. It's been so nice that I really didn't even feel like getting back in the swing of things and doing the Star Wars time show today. You know what I mean? I've been kind of having fun being a slob, like an absolute bum. Just sitting around. I think yesterday all I did was watch clips of the Ohio State Notre Dame game. I mean, like a complete social media moron, just sitting there like. But what can I say? I love sports. I love the way they make me feel. And it's very similar to my fandom for Star Wars. I know this is why I've always been able to kind of cross the streams, if you will, between nerdom, geekdom, and just, sports fandom, or just being a person that isn't looked at as a complete nerd loser. Because I like all things, and I get passionate about all things that I'm into. Sports, right up there with my love of these fake science fiction franchises and stuff. So when my sports team is winning stuff like a natty, it's hard to be upset. Yummy Chipotle. Thank you. Yeah, this is the Vader hoodie, by the way, for those that hasn't seen it yet. You can still get extra small and smalls. I may or may not have ordered a second one because I'm a freak. We all know this, but this one in the back, I must have been wearing it with a jacket that had like a scratchy tag in it, because now the back is all fucking frayed up. And it's the back. I can't see it. Most of it's covered by the hood, but guess what? I'm a weirdo when it comes to that type of stuff. When it comes to my shoes and my clothes that I spend too much money on, I don't want them to ever look like crap. So the fact that I know that this thing is slightly frayed on the back, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go see if they still have some smalls. And lo and behold, they did. So now I'm going to have two of these because I've got mental problems and can't handle when something is not perfect, especially if it's Star Wars related. Okay. Chipotle, man, we got Rory Schmidt talking about Chipotle. I love Chipotle. I think I've had it 3 times since Saturday, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, people, that's enough of the BS here. Hopefully young Nick comes in at some point in time. I got a message here over on Slack. It looks like he's not going to be too far, about 10 minutes it said, so hopefully I catch the call and we'll be off to the races. I will tell you, due to the technical issue we had last week with our kick-ass guest, Marty Matulis, make sure to check that episode out if you missed it. I interviewed Vane, the space pirate from Skeleton Crew and The Mandalorian, a.k.a. Marty Matulis. But we had like some weird mic issues. He came in on Nick's usual portal and I had to mess with the mic output. So there's a good chance when Nick gets on today, we're either not going to hear him at all, or it's going to be like, and it's just going to blow out all our ears. So when he joins on, just bear with me for a little bit while I put my technician hat on as I co-host and move things around in the background. Thank you, Divided. Divided saying that interview was so good. I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I don't like tooting my own horn. I actually think my guests have been the stars of these interviews the past 2 weeks. But if you have not watched the Ravi Cabot-Conyers interview, he played Wim on Skeleton Crew, or the Marty Matalis interview, who played Vane, like I said, they're both up there now. YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show, or on a podcast platform of your choice. All right. Starting to sweat a little bit, even though it's very chilly up here. Uh-oh, my friend's calling in. Here we go. Let's bring him in here, people. Like I said, we might have to tweak a few things because when Marty was on last week, he was using Nick's feed. And remember, you all couldn't hear him. So let's see what we get now that young Nick is back. All right, let me pipe him in here. Nick, I can't hear you, so we're already starting off on the wrong foot.
All right.
Yeah, I literally can't hear anything. Let me check my Skype just to make sure that that it's set up the right way, but I can't hear you at all. Last week, the people couldn't hear you, or couldn't hear Marty. This week, Matt can't hear Nick. All right. Everything looks kosher on my end.
Okay, well, everything's good on my end. So let me.
So they can hear him? Oh, crap. You got to be kidding me. Go figure. You guys can hear Nick. I can't. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Interesting. Well,
hold on.
I don't know how that works.
Nick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Can't hear Nick. I should be hearing him through Skype.
I can try to call
God
back.
damn it. We totally should have done this before we went live. Oh, well. I just want to see if I can hear anything out of my ears. Nick, if they can hear you, why don't you talk to them for a little bit and tell them how you've been, all right?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I mean, how I've been is basically been dealing with a bad flu for the last week. Now I'm at the tail end of it, still have a bit of congestion, some coughing, stuff like that. But last week, there was like 3 days in a row where I was solidly bedridden. I did not watch the finale of Skeleton Crew until today. But we'll get into that once we get everything back up and running. But overall, I thought that the show was pretty good. Enjoyed it. Interested to see where our conversation goes concerning Skeleton Crew. I know that there's been, as it does at the end of every Star Wars TV show, there is a discussion about Star Wars TV and how every show that comes out now is the lowest viewed show ever. Have some thoughts on that, so we may dive into that a little bit. But overall, I think that I think the show is good. I think the show is well made. I think that it subverted a lot of my expectations in terms of how the characters were going to play out, what to expect from certain characters, and how they interacted with each other. So I was super pleased with that. It's always nice when things go a little bit differently than you expect. But yeah, I mean, we just had some snow over here in Austin, which was pretty crazy. My parents got absolutely blizzarded in Louisiana. They had snow there for Wednesday, or for Tuesday and Wednesday, Tuesday and today. They had like 8 inches of snow, which was crazy, but hey, they made it through. No power loss. Had fun building snowmen and playing with theirs out in the snow. So all good there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I have been dealing with a cold and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. So
holy shit.
Not sure how.
I can hear this motherfucker.
Hear me now. Okay, there we go.
What in the Jesus hell is going on here?
Yeah. But hey, I gave him an update on everything.
All right, good. Perfect timing. Sorry about that, people. You know what? It wouldn't be an episode of the SWTS if something didn't just completely shit the bed. You know what I mean? So.
Hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
All right. So everyone hears Nick. He's not like blowing you out, because I mean it's like deja vu. We go live last week. I give Marty one of the best fucking hype buildups of all time. I mean, it was like Shannon Sharp level type of hype man stuff. And then he goes to talk, and people are like, "We can't hear shit. You suck, asshole." I'm like, "Oh my God, I had no clue what was going on," and I just jack up his volume to like 1 million. So hopefully you're not absolutely blowing people's ears out.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's saying that things sound good. Divided says the sound is good.
All right.
Nobody has said that I have exploded their eardrums yet.
Perfect.
So it seems like we may be.
All right.
In a good
Holy
spot.
hell, people. Well, you know what? I don't know what the hell Nick said. I'm sure it was monumental. It's good to have him back. Be mad. We appreciate you, brother. We always appreciate those super chats. And hey,
yes,
we love you members too. The 12-year whatever that has kind of stuck with us. we speak your names. All right, buddy, you're here. So let's just go ahead and jump into shit. I didn't have to vamp for too long. I actually probably vamped too long and didn't get to anything relevant. I was talking about the big natty win with Ohio State and how
there you go.
I've been kind of living in a dream world the past 2 days. Also because my work's been canceled. We had MLK off, and then because of cold temperatures, I haven't had to do shit Tuesday or today. So
nice.
I was getting ready to just not even do the show today and just stay in my realm of laziness. But we're here. Nick's here. No longer do I have to get through the show with just the mouse in my pocket. So good to see you, buddy. It looks like you just watched the Skeleton Crew finale, or it's fairly fresh in the head.
Yeah, I watched it today. Fresh in the head. I was telling everybody that, I enjoyed it. I feel like the finale, there weren't too many twists and turns in the finale, but I didn't really expect there to be. I think that a lot of...
We got all our answers, right? Might not have been as deep as we were expecting, but pretty much all the mysteries we teed up during the premiere were covered.
Yeah, I mean, our speculation notes, I feel like hit some good highs during the finale. I feel like we had speculated that the supervisor was probably a droid or something like that. It was
big asteroid.
So no twists and turns on the Jod Na end of things. I feel like that was all pretty straightforward. He played it pretty straight all the way to the end. And yeah, I mean, we finally got to see the kids take the mantle as the true heroes of the show, which was awesome, even pushing against their parents in times where their parents were just like, well, just let them take whatever he wants to take.
Didn't you like that, though, how I kind of brought this up in my review. We'd love for you to check it out, youtube.com/StarWarsHomeShow. But, a lot of times in shows like this, Nick, parents almost become dumb doofuses, the kids end up doing some otherworldly or almost beyond their capabilities and scope, where it felt like in Skeleton Crew, the kids kind of led the charge, but they also inspired the parents to kind of break their own routines, their own loop, their own conditioning, especially Wendell, Wim's dad, and Farrah, Fern's mother. So the kids definitely the heroes, but at least the parents weren't just a bunch of adults. They actually kind of got involved in, I wouldn't say retaking back their planet, but sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at a certain point they realized, like, okay, we can't just let this guy pillage this planet for whatever he wants. Like, we're going to have to do something about it. And it, that took probably longer than it should have. They finally came to when the chips were really down, and they see the ship that KB was on, the Onyx Sender, get exploded and fall out of the atmosphere, and things are really starting to get dire. But when the chips were down and they needed to do it, they did it, and that's what matters. So big ups to the parents on that for coming through. But yeah, I mean, I think that it was a fantastic show. I think that overall, this show did a great job of telling a self-contained story without having to really rely on any of the pre-established lore in the New Republic era, and tell a story that was unique and that was authentically Star Wars. And I was really happy with the final product. I mean, I know that, now that a week has passed since it's over, all the news outlets are writing about how it was the least watched Star Wars show of all time.
They're like, beating their chest, taking a shit on it. I mean, that's just our society. It's like we can't have nice things anymore.
I mean, I think that what people need to realize is that's just how it is. Like, every Star Wars show since The Mandalorian season 1 has been the least watched Star Wars show of all time. Like, that's just how it is. Like, the franchise is seeing a bit of audience fatigue, and that happens.
What they're running on, Nick, and it's kind of cheap if you really look at the numbers. They're only looking at the premiere minutes watched. That's what they're reporting. Yeah. It's like 382 for 2 episodes. Book of Boba Fett was 389 for 1 episode. Andor was like 400 or 600 for 3 episodes. So you got to factor that in well. But who gives a shit? Yeah. It was critically received well. So I think it's got a lot more hope than The Acolyte. But yeah, viewership for Skeleton Crew did not pan out whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise.
Hey there, dork.
And and what I would, I had mentioned in my muted rant while you were figuring out your stuff. It's like,
show.
I don't know what Star Wars is, I don't know what Disney and Lucasfilm's P&L looks like. I don't know what their balance sheet looks like, what their business units are when it comes to Disney Plus streaming, or how they measure success on anything. Because, realistically, this show cost less than Andor and Acolyte. I think it was probably one of the cheapest live action Star Wars TV shows to be produced yet. It still had like over $150 million ticket, which is high. It's high for a TV show. But they have shown that they can make a good show at lower cost. And if they continue that trend, then they should be in a good spot. And what it really comes down to is like, is the amount of money that they're spending on the show, not tipping the balance sheet into the red. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows where things go?
It's like Divided bringing up here, maybe they get a merch bump because you had some lovable characters like Neel, but they're not going to get anything like a Grogu jolt.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the Grogu bump that Mandalorian got in terms of like merchandise sales and stuff like that is going to be unmatched. I don't think that we're ever going to get.
Yeah, and according to Marty, Nick, because I asked some memorable moments from his time working on Star Wars, and he went right to meeting Grogu on Mando. He's like, "This is no bullshit. Yeah. Like that puppet is charming AF. Like it just as soon as you see it on set." He's like, they would, anytime someone would get close to it, they'd fire him up and start performing with him. He's just like, it's impossible not to fall in love with that little guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome when you can have that type of, that type of magnetism to a character like that. And I think that, they've tried to replicate it in different properties. They've tried to have cute little characters. I think in this one, the closest that we got was Neel. I mean, Snowball.
His family too, man. Those siblings like Tula and the other guys. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a fantastically built cast. It was a fantastically built show. I hope that we get a season 2. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think that this show doesn't necessarily need a season 2. If it came down to it and it's like, okay, well, this one doesn't get a season 2, but we're going to fold these characters in this story arc into the Mandoverse through another show, either through The Mandalorian, through crossover movie, or through another Mandoverse property. I think that would be fine. I think that you would struggle in a season 2 to successfully make the kids main characters again without it feeling odd, because it's not like they're just going to be like, okay, well, we're just going to be jet setting, kid space adventurers now all by themselves.
Wim's joining the New Republic Navy, bro. You know he is.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in
it's funny you bring this up. It's funny you bring this up because remember, if they do get a second season, they're going to age them 4 years, which would put the kids in their mid-teens, 15, 16, maybe 17 in show. Real life, they would be about 17, 18. So, yeah. I mean, you definitely could play with them. It would have to, like you're saying, it would have to be a completely different concept. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, this week there's a bit of void in my life. I'm like, damn, it was nice kind of getting those view hits and those bucket fill moments from covering Skeleton Crew. So I was like, I might work on a video this week, even though I know it's probably not going to bang. But the concept is, Nick, if we do get a season 2 of Skeleton Crew, what's it going to look like? And I break it down across 3 different potential plot threads. You have At Attin itself, massive plot thread. I mean, it's just rejoin the galaxy, and the New Republic knows where it's at, and they are on planet. I mean, you could argue that Corvette that was landing was bringing a delegation from the New Republic to start working with people on At Attin to kind of bring them back into the fold. So you would have those types of stories. Like, do the At Attin citizens want to be in the New Republic? Do they want to remain neutral? Do they want to go back to being isolated somehow? Then you have, what about the bad guys? All right, if good guys know about something, the bad guys are going to find out. So you could loop in, is Thrawn interested in this resource-rich planet? Is the Imperial Remnant? And then, like you said, all right, our characters, where they go? Well, the kids, are difficult. I think Wim's the easiest. Wim and Fern, to me, they kind of speak to joining the galaxy at large. KB and Neel, little more difficult. I'm positioning KB and Fern to become like a Han Solo Chewbacca crew. And Wim, like I said, traditional hero. Let's go work for the real good guys, as he called them. But Neel, I could see staying home, staying on planet, maybe being the liaison for At Attin citizens and whatever's going on with the New Republic. And then finally, I think another thing they would have to address, obviously, is going to be Jadna in the Wood.
Yeah, I think that his storyline is an interesting one to follow, given how the show ended. And like the end was the most interesting to me because it does
that little smile. Would you? Because Marty had a different take on it. I had a different take on it. So before I give those up, when you see Jod, he's kind of sullen. He's like, he's like, I lost. But then he gets a little bit of a smile as he sees the frigate crash and burn. What do you think made him smile like that?
I mean, I almost think it was like, yeah, I lost, but I lost my fucking way. Like I lost the way that I wanted to lose, and everybody who lost with me because I was leading them. And, I feel like he would have rather lose that way than lose in, under the management or under the crew of Brutus or somebody else. I think it was just like, yeah, I did this, even though it was an L. I did it.
Everyone's got a different response. So what I said, Nick, I was like, to me, it's like he realized in the end that there is good in the galaxy. The galaxy isn't just about cold, hard credits, and these little kids taught me that. Marty was like, now hold on a minute. This guy's watching a pirate ship crash and burn with his crew on it, probably dead or getting locked up, so he's just thinking, more money for me now. I was like, man, yeah, I love that. I mean, but that's the beauty of Jude Law and how he brought this character to life. I mean, he probably wasn't even directed to do that smile. He probably just added that in.
Yeah, I mean, more than likely that was just a little nod that he gave. I doubt that they wrote like coy smile into the script. But it was. I mean, it's interesting. In terms of a season 2, I mean, we had Ravi on the show recently, and he's 14 now. So
13.
13. Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest thing is like, if you're going to do a season 2 and you're going to try to do a season 2 like 3 years later when the kids get old enough to actually be in a position to where it makes sense for them to enter the galaxy as semi-adults, it's a long wait. It's a really long wait for a show that didn't, may over time get a larger viewer base, but at least at the moment didn't have the largest viewer base of the shows that have come out so far. That's your biggest hindrance. I mean, the only show that I've seen that's been able to do that successfully is Stranger Things. And I think that Stranger Things season 4 or season 5, whichever one is coming out
ridiculous.
soon. It's gonna look so fucked up. Like
they're in their 20s, man.
Yeah, like these kids have done so many things since then, and like they've aged to a point to where like they're clearly not the 11-year-olds that they were. I mean, I'd be interested to see it, but I guess my thoughts on a season 2 are, it would make a lot of sense if the production team at Lucasfilm thought that there would be an appetite for it in 3 years to do it that way and still follow the kids. But if they feel an immediacy to follow up, then I feel like you're going to probably run into an issue or run into a situation where the season 2 of Skeleton Crew is more based around the reentry of At Attin into proper society.
I think Watson Ford, the 3 to 4 year time jump, I think they're talking in universe, not necessarily we would be waiting 3 to 4 years here. I think they're saying I think that they would move the characters and the story 3 to 4 years into the future. Yeah,
I think the issue with that is that those kids look like kids. Like Fern looks like a kid and Ravi looks like a kid. So if he comes back next year and you're telling me he's 17, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm not so worried about that shit. In the end, good story and writing can make up for actors' ages and whatnot. So that's like the least concern of mine. I guess the other thing I kicked the tires on, Nick, for season 2. I mean, all we know about the timeline of season 1 of Skeleton Crew is that it's taking place when the New Republic is in power. It was never made clear if this is before Mando, after Mando, before Ahsoka. Well, after Ahsoka would be, right? That's our most recent Mandoverse show, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, we could argue that this is actually taking place even years before the end of Ahsoka, where Thrawn returns. I mean, they could pick up season 2 right when Thrawn returns, and At Attin's already been back in the galaxy for 3 to 4 years. So who knows? I think what Nick is saying in terms of we're probably going to see these characters and maybe concepts from Skeleton Crew pop up in other properties before we get a proper second season. I think that's probably where we're headed. I don't think we get anything in Mando Grogu. It just, I've been thinking about it, it just doesn't make sense to me. There's no real reason for Din and Grogu to get looped into At Attin, especially when we know we'll be talking about the rumored villain here. It just doesn't make sense. I think if we see them again, Nick, it's probably going to be in the crossover. The initially revealed Dave Filoni movie, the Endgame Mandoverse flick, if you will. That's where you could probably see them scooting back into the picture.
That makes the most sense to me for the next time to see this,
right?
This,
because even Ahsoka season 2, I mean, the titular character is stuck on Peridea, so they can't dedicate a ton of time to the known galaxy and the New Republic. Yes, they're going to have to because Thrawn's back, Ezra's back, and they got to plan for that shit. But don't you feel in Ahsoka season 2 a bulk of the story is going to be Peridea and what the hell's going on there and how they get away, off, or stop Baylan from doing whatever he's doing with the Mortis gods?
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the primary arc on that one, just because, I mean, what are you going to do on the other side of Peridea, like back in the standard galaxy?
Thrawn's here. Okay, let's muster the forces. It's like...
So I mean, like, you'll definitely be bouncing between that a bit, but I do feel like a lot of it is going to be, and given how it ended, a lot of it is going to be focused more on this mystic side of Peridea and Baylan and
lots of rumors
of
Hayden having even more of a role in this. So to me, that's okay. We're going to be spending a lot of time force communicating and dealing with those concepts. And Anakin, above any Jedi alive or dead, knows full well what the fucking Mortis gods are about, right? So I mean, he would be a pretty good ally to have when you're confronting literally the Force gods.
Yeah. I mean, his involvement is going to be unquestioned there, and
they're talking Ewan and even Natalie.
I did see the Natalie rumors, which, like, I guess if you're doing flashback stuff like that, and you're delving deeper into Anakin's history and what really brought him to the place that he, like his fall and everything like that, it kind of makes sense. Obviously Ewan, and in any way when you can involve Ewan with
those three together. I mean, there's some of the best moments from the Clone Wars is when you got the two generals and Snips and just the dynamics between those three. We know that Padme and Ahsoka had a very strong bond, so she would make complete sense for being involved as well. So yeah, I'll take it all. I mean, we know Hayden did a bang up job in season 1. He was kind of a gimme. If you're going to lump in General Kenobi and pair him with General Skywalker and get some Padme in there, I mean, okay, we're here. Yeah. Sign me up. We like fan service, even though you guys seem to not appreciate it, as Nick and I will bring up today as we go through our Skeleton Crew preseason wants and predictions. We were foiled again, but we told all of you not to hold those Hondo pearls. We told you. And Marty was right. I asked him about if it was ever discussed, and he's like, not really, no. But if you think about it, if Hondo showed up, he would have sucked all the fucking air out of that series.
I don't think so. I think that like if Hondo showed up, there's probably not that many people who's watching that show who actually know who
Right.
Hondo is. To be completely honest, like the most people would probably recognize him as, look, that's the guy from the Star Wars ride line, not from
Yeah, I mean,
his other properties.
It should have just
But
been
he
a
just
cheap
didn't
cameo,
fit.
like even a cheap cameo in Port Borgo where he doesn't even get a talking part. Come on, like
Yeah.
throw us a bone like that.
Yeah, I think that the depiction of pirates in this show was very different than the depiction of pirates that we saw when Hondo was involved in Star Wars. Like he was much more of like a swashbuckling, like almost like like your neighborhood friendly pirate at a certain point.
Yeah, you know, Silvo seemed like him a little bit, but in the end, Silvo was just a shithead. Hondo, he would screw. I mean, he screwed Ezra over multiple times, but he'd always come back and redeem himself or save the Ghost Crew or save Ezra. Like Nick is saying, he could not escape his good side. Like to him, cold hard credits weren't everything. Where Jod, truly, that was it. Like he only believed being insanely rich could bring him happiness.
Yeah, so I can see why they chose not to go that direction, especially for Watts and Ford, who I don't know what their history is with Star Wars. I don't know if they've even seen some of the animated series that had Hondo involved in it. I'm sure that Filoni didn't, wasn't hanging over their shoulder and was like, "Hey, we have a pirate guy that I want you to get in there." So, but yeah, I mean, the way that pirates were depicted in Skeleton Crew just doesn't jive with Hondo being a part of that ethos and that underworld, because they were really like, these were like fucking Black Sails pirates. Like these were some ruthless motherfuckers who
they're blowing up the rubes on At Attin that didn't even know what the hell was going on. They're just like, whoa, we've never seen this before. Hey, we got some new people in here. Star Wars nerd, hello there. Darth Bishop 40. Please tell me you guys are joking with this title. What are we joking? And what title are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't
Did
know.
we put something stupid on the title? I think it just said Skeleton Crew Revisited. Hey, you never know. You can't make everyone happy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Skeleton Crew, anyway. Top tier Star Wars. So I'm guessing Darth Bishop is one of these cranky, angry Disney Star Wars ruins everything. Boo-hoo. Let me go cry in my mom's basement. People that like Star Wars aren't allowed to have opinions anymore. I'm Darth Bishop. Get the fuck out of here.
Everybody likes what they like. But yeah, I mean,
it was nice to go 7 weeks without any toolboxes, though. So it's good to have a few coming back in. You didn't quite get the reaction you're looking for, did you, 45, you dope? Go in Theory's room and piss on Star Wars over there. Have a good time.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the direction of the show moving forward is probably going to be within other properties until it gets to a point where they feel like they can revisit the kids as main characters in a larger galaxy is what I would say. So, and I'd be interested to see that. I think it would be crazy if they did kind of split the crew up and have Neel essentially stay home.
I don't think Neel leaves. I mean, he made it very clear he was not a fan of adventuring.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if there was like a storyline where he got roped back in unwillingly somehow. Like he was, you have Fern and you have Wim that are obviously going to be the jet setters, and I think that KB also has an appetite to get out and explore the galaxy a little bit more. She was the one who probably grew the closest bond with somebody outside of At Attin between her and Kim. Yeah. And I think that how much she was enamored with all of the information at Kim's hideout was something that really stood out for that character and really had that desire to learn more and really
I'm
dig
telling you,
into the galaxy.
I think her and Fern take over the Cinder and gallivant around the galaxy. Not as smugglers, scoundrel light, but yeah, they're adventurers. Maybe Afro types, like going to look for stuff. Wim, like I said, I think he wants to be a real good guy. That's clear. He wants to be a real good guy.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a part of the New Republic Navy or one of the forces out there that are patrolling the outer rim sectors or something like that. So I would be
just
really
put Neel on
interested.
comms on the roof of the school, man. I mean,
right?
we all knew the turret callback was coming, but I'm glad they did it either way. I got my HVAC system kicking off here. We can't have that. All right, Nick. So we'll get to our kind of revisit our preseason predictions. But why we've been on this for a bit, I didn't really plan to get right into Skeleton Crew. Your final thoughts. Since you weren't here last week, I knew I'd be giving you some time. But since we just were riffing on it, do you consider Skeleton Crew S tier or below?
I mean, I think it was one of the better Star Wars shows. I mean, personally, I enjoyed this show probably as much as I enjoyed, Mando, definitely more than Mando season 4, or Mando
3.
The most recent season of Mando,
Trace.
Mando season 3. I think it was better than Mando season 3. I think it was better than Book of Boba Fett. I think it was in my opinion, I think it was better than Andor because for me it was more fun. And I think it was I think it was up there. I think it was one of the better ones for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't think you even talk about this show unless it's A or S tier. I mean, I don't really know what you could knock outside of wanting more, and typically if that's a feeling you have, that means you really liked something. It's not necessarily a negative, I mean, a lot of people are bitching I want longer episodes, longer this, deeper that. I'm like, well, that just means you're really engaged with the content, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, if you want longer episodes, what that tells me is that you wish you could see more of it. So
yeah, I mean, listen, Robbie said, hey, finale 50 minutes. It got 40. It does sound like some things were cut down and they didn't potentially go in a certain way with Wim's character, like B-Mad's saying here. I do think, in addition to wanting to become a real good guy, I think they keep exploring Wim's passion for the Force, which could result in some sort of discovery of ability. Remember, everyone has the Force. Not everyone is naturally inclined to just tap into it. So, I think they could pursue that in a second season as well. Be mad here. And no, he is not going to become one of Luke's Padawans like Sir Dork is saying. He will not fall to Ben Solo.
I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? That's a storyline that needs to be filled out, and that's a storyline that needs to have some.
Yeah, I mean, actually could have a lot, but I think we're just going to be left with those rinky-dink comics we got, and Luke literally had 3 fucking students, and that's it. They died.
Yeah.
It's okay, cool. Star Wars Nerd 00. I do have some issues with them spending so much time between 3 planets, but it's pretty high up on my rewatchability list, though. Yeah, you know what? I mean, at least it wasn't just Tatooine and Navarro, though.
I know, right?
That seems to be a thing in most Star Wars series. I'd say Andor probably went to the most new locations if you really think about it. But for the most part, still just far around, Ferrix and Coruscant. So, I get it. I mean, even when you had At Attin, they're essentially the same. I mean, who knows? I also put in my breakdown for season 2, what if Neel, brings Haina over from At Attin, or he leads the expedition or convinces the New Republic to go check in on all the other hidden jewel planets? I mean, those are things we don't, I mean, I think Skeleton Crew did a great job of just giving us answers at face value. The Jewel planets were all fucked up, and if their supervisor went offline, you see what happens. The whole society crumbles. Well, is that what happened on Akron and all the other Ats? Did they eventually overrule the supervisor and turn it off? Who knows? And why did that happen?
Yeah.
Why wasn't their supervisor as good at keeping them literally in their programming loop as we explained? So
yeah. I think that I will say that what I don't want Skeleton Crew to do is get too far away from the core narrative of the New Republic. I think that there's one of the weaknesses of Star Wars TV right now is it feels so fucking scattershot. There's so much stuff that is connected but not connected yet.
Right.
And it's been a very long time that, I mean, we've had six years of storytelling up to this point, and it does feel too disparate. And if this show ends up going off and creating another disparate line, I think that's what is really kind of holding the Star Wars TV universe back is because even though things are interconnected, they're really not yet. And if you pull this to where, oh well, Skeleton Crew is going to be its own thing now, even though it's happening in the same general timeline as the Mandoverse and Ahsoka and stuff like that, then it's going to start to get to a point to where you have too many loose threads that eventually need to come together, and then when they do come together, it's going to feel too like
rushed.
It's going to feel like they just yanked everything back in and didn't have like a natural progression to where like all these people come together.
You're making a good point. They really have kind of pissed the opportunity away to make these feel connected. It's really the only connective tissue between a lot of these series is either Din Djarin or Ahsoka. That's it. Like they're the only things that have, Din pops up in Book of Boba Fett, damn near takes that series over towards the end. Ahsoka popped up in Mando, and that's about it. Like those are the only connections we have so far. I mean, Ahsoka, it touched on the fact that she met with the Mandalorian, but that was it. There was, and what she called Bo-Katan. No, I don't even think they talked to Bo-Katan. So
no, and like I think that's the biggest issue that I see right now is like. You and then like you have your
we got main
your
characters lost, right? We got fucking Ahsoka and Sabine are stuck on Peridia.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the Star Wars TV lineup as like a casual fan, and you were under the impression that these shows are somehow linked together, and then you run into Andor, which is in a completely different timeline, and then you run into The Acolyte, which is in a completely different timeline.
Right.
It really does get hard to follow. And like you could even look at Skeleton Crew as a part of that, like where it's not connected. Like even though the New Republic was mentioned and the New Republic came in for the save at the end of it, like this still isn't in any way connected to the Mandoverse. Like you had mentioned before, like we don't even have a clue when this takes place in terms of the narrative that has been told through the Mandalorian. And I mean, I guess you could loop in Ahsoka. That's still kind of, I mean, like to be completely honest with you, like that's also still like not fully connected to the Mandoverse either. So
Divide is saying, Nick, I still don't know exactly when Skeleton Crew takes place. This is all you can know for sure is that it takes place after Return of the Jedi. and I've heard numbers like 9 years after Return of the Jedi. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's a general problem with the storytelling right now is that it's almost impossible to like...
I mean, dude, in between Mando S2 and 3, they couldn't even figure out how many years passed. Favreau's like, I don't know, maybe 1. Oh, no, shit, 2, I think. Yeah, about
like
about
4.
the same amount of time as it took in the real world to get the season. It's like, okay.
So it's... And that
so Grogu
like,
was Luke for like a weekend then. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's like, it just makes it really difficult, especially when the plan is like, hey, we're going to have this huge crossover event that's going to bring together these shows. But now it's like, well, which shows? Like
so far, pal,
Skeleton Crew
only
included.
Only phase.
It's just Ahsoka and Mando.
Only phase 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU have been able to pay off on a promise like that. It's not been repeated. I don't know if it ever will be. Even Marvel can't unfuck themselves. I mean, they can't even figure out how to get back to that formula they used in the first 3 phases of the MCU that worked literally brilliantly. I mean, it was brilliant. Stinger set up this. Movie leads into that. Next stinger, next movie, next stinger, next movie, next stinger, next movie. Before you know it, we know why everyone's connected, why all characters, what their motivations are, and it makes sense when they team up. Like it was perfect. And I think we were all expecting that, Nick, and that's what Disney was kind of putting out there. But as all things go, talk is kind of cheap sometimes coming out of the mouse house.
It got lost. It got lost in the sauce. And I mean, it's, and look, I appreciate the content that we've gotten and I've enjoyed most of it. Like, I think what ends up happening is when Robert Rodriguez comes to you and says that I want to work on a Star Wars show, I think the plan for how that connects to everything else goes out the window. And I think that something similar happens when, all of a sudden you have Tony Gilroy, who who comes in and he's like, well, I want to do a Star Wars TV show and I want to do it about the guy that was in the movie that I worked on. And you just let him do it. You know, you lose that sense of cohesion because you're allowing for good creators, admittedly, to come in and make good content. But then your plans for like, oh, well, you know, we're going to have this interconnected TV universe that's going to build up into this movie crossover that gets muddled to a point to where it's like, I don't even know what's fucking crossing over anymore. Like the only thing that's crossing over, man.
The story group will take care of it all. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll keep everyone honest and on the same page so things connect. We love the story group over here. They're awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see how that all comes together and how Skeleton Crew is folded into that.
Well, I think like I know I saw Matt Palanca in here and Nick said it myself and I said it last week. That's the beauty of how Skeleton Crew ended. It ended. It answered every kind of question it put up. We might have wanted deeper insights into, you know, the exact timelines of At Attin this and that. The creators have trickled some stuff out. I don't know if anyone read the article, and they did confirm that the show has connections to the High Republic. They didn't just want to come out and say, yes, this was a High Republic great work, because they didn't want to be solely tied to the High Republic era. I wonder why. It had a little bit of a stink on it from the Acolyte and just kind of, in my opinion, the failed launch of that era of Star Wars. So yes, it was connected to all the great works of the High Republic. We probably wanted to see that flashback with Jod getting rescued out of his hole. Nick, it was revealed it actually wasn't Haley Webb. It was an Arabian woman or a Palestinian woman that supposedly played his master, and it got cut.
I saw that, and it got cut. Yeah, I mean, you know, potential. I mean, and here's the thing: I'm sure that Ravi was right that the initial cut of this episode was probably 50 minutes long. Like he I don't think he was coming on the show and trying to.
I mean, listen, Nick. They were so squirrely about it. I had to stay up that night and edit the shit out of the fucking live. So I think in good faith they thought it was going to go a different way, and I've actually heard the final scenes up there in the tower between Wim, Jod, Fern, and the parents slightly different than what was initially thought would come out. So hey, Skeleton Crew, good stuff. I hate to, kind of punch Acolyte, because I was a fan of Acolyte, but this is why I was disappointed at the end, because just like John Watts was saying, Leslie was saying the same shit. Like, hey man, season 1, it's self-contained. Everything will be answered by the end, and that was an absolute lie. It was bullshit. Like she set it up thinking she was going to get a second season, and unfortunately that didn't happen. And us fans were now left with like, oh well, what about Khmer this? What about Darth Plagueis that? I don't like that shit. Because now it is just going to be what about? We're not going to see it. At least Skeleton Crew, if we don't get season 2, Nick and I aren't going to be sitting here going, well, what about? We got the answers. Yeah. We know why the Cinder was there. We know what happened to Tak Renad. We know why At Attin was hidden and stuck in a loop. I mean, it's there. We know why Jod has force powers. Yeah. We got them all.
I would prefer at this point, to be completely honest, for Star Wars TV, that it have a 2-season minimum. Like, if you're going to make a show that is not intended to be a one-off miniseries or something like that. Or
just say this is a limited series. I think people would be able to wrap their heads around that better.
Yeah, just like be more clear with the expectations of the show and the story that's being told in it. Like, if you're gonna have a show that is built around a 2-season minimum format, then like you greenlight 2 seasons and you say like, hey, we just have to keep our budget in line.
Commit to it too. Don't be Netflix and kill a show 3 weeks after you release it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that's what's really lacking, and just in general, like you mentioned too, like just in general with streaming TV is the lack of commitment to letting a show find an audience. Like me and Taylor just started watching that show, The Franchise, on HBO. Which we thought was really fucking funny. Like we watched the first episode and we like died laughing. There was like a part in that season run where like we had to pause it because we were laughing so we really enjoyed it. That show ended its run in November and it got canceled the first week of January. And it's like, dude, you didn't even give people time to find the show. Yeah. Like I just I really do think that the streaming model right now is in a bad place for a lot of different streamers, and I think it's because there's no commitment to for lack of a better word, like to the content and to the art that's being made. Like I say 2 season minimums, and then you get a producer on the show who's better at controlling budget. Like, because I think it's unacceptable for a show like Andor to cost $650 million to make.
That's insane.
I think that's fucking crazy.
It's insane.
And I think that's also why that show went from 4 seasons to 2. And I think it's also unacceptable for a show like The Acolyte to be as far over budget as it was too.
Yeah, what was that one? Like $300 million?
That one was in the $300 to $400 million range as well. I think that there's not people in place on these sets to ensure that budgets are being held to, and I think that it's because they're putting creators with cachet behind it, and people are too afraid to say no to it.
Look at this guy.
And ultimately, that's why old TV could go 8 seasons, right? Like. You didn't like Fox never had a problem with a show going 5, 6, 7 seasons. You know why? Because they're like, this is the budget. You're on cable TV, bitch, and this is how much money you get.
22 episodes. They got to be 42 minutes long, so we can jam in 18 minutes commercials and have at it.
Yeah, and it's like, look, I understand that when you were trying to launch a streaming service, you wanted to give a little bit more freedom to your creators and allow them to. Have a little bit more breathing room. And if it, I still think that that's okay, but I think that there needs to be a lot more stringency on these budgets of the show. Like there's no way that a 10 episode TV show should cost you more than $100 million. There's no way. Every 10 episode Star Wars show should cost you $90 million or less. That's
can
$9
we blame
million.
Game of Thrones for TV budgets exploding? Is that the first one that really got stupid, you think?
I do think it was that one. And I think that people looked at that time and they were like, oh my God, look what you can do.
Right. On
with
TV.
Like a prestige TV show. It was unheard of. And then like everybody wanted to replicate that in some way, shape or form. But even HBO failed at doing it again. They failed at doing it with Westworld. So much so that you literally can't even watch Westworld anywhere on the internet.
They ditched it. Like it's dead. And I kind of liked it. Like
gone.
it actually... It got to some point by season 4, and they could have made more, but hey, whatever, it ended. But you're right, it's just like scrubbed from the net.
Yeah.
It's
so
like,
for me, if I'm Disney, I'm like, if you need to spend more than $9 million an episode, you don't need to be making a TV show. You need to be making a movie. Like, and that's where
sign him up. See, the past 2 weeks, he's been back there studying the numbers and getting ready, his pitch deck ready to become the CFO of Disney.
Well, because this is what I'm afraid is going to happen is, we're seeing viewership numbers reduce every season of TV that Star Wars releases, and it doesn't matter how good or bad the content is. We're just going to
state-run TV moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, well, that may be true.
Yes, it is.
But
they own all the social media now with that TikTok end around they did. Holy shit.
Yeah. But here's what I think is going to happen. I think that we're going to go back to a world. We're going to end up in a world where we're going to have, and I wouldn't be upset about this, but I think that this is what's going to happen. I think that what's going to end up happening is we're going to have one long running animated show that's going to be 24 episodes per year, and you're going to have one live action show per year. And that's going to be it because it's cheaper. And you can control your budget way more way.
We may need it, and we'll be used to, at least on the Star Wars side. I mean, next year we're only getting one show for the entire calendar, and that's Andor. So we can kind of get used to that schedule. All right.
So we'll see.
I think I'm over the money stuff. My question to you is: do we just go right into kind of punching out Skeleton Crew, or do you want to circle back to that after we do some news?
Let's just finish.
Yeah,
let's finish up with Skeleton Crew. We're already on it. Yeah.
So we do this here at the Star Wars Time Show. If you're new, before a new show starts, we always come through and we drop what we call our wants and predictions, and then when the show ends, we like to revisit those to see how excellent they were or how stupid our thoughts may have been. So, Nick, I got the graphic up there. I got to pull up my notes just to make sure we're somewhat on the same page. All right. So we're looking at the wants right now, people. If you're here on the live stream, does it not want to advance? Oh, come on. Let me refresh it. Maybe this will work.
Let's go round. Let's
yeah, it
see
says
if
1
the
of 24. So, yeah, there we go. All right. So one of our first ones, Nick, is we wanted a new approach to force users and their abilities, and kind of got it, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I think that Jod was, they did enough for us to know that he was a different type of force user that we've ever seen before, but it wasn't necessarily his identity,
Correct.
right? Like it was a part of his person, but it wasn't something that he really defined himself by.
Yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed the way that they did.
He was kind of on the path to become a Boken trained Jedi, but his master got, and there you go. So yeah, I do think it was. I mean, I liked how they kept it mysterious all the way till the end. And while a flashback would have been nice, it wasn't needed. Just Jod's little speech to Wim was perfect. Like, hey, shut up, you bitch. You think you got it hard? Yep. I grew up in a hole. I was rescued by a Jedi, and as soon as I had some hope, the Empire murdered her in front of me. So fuck the galaxy and screw you. I mean, that's pretty much where he was at. So I think we did get that one. So that's a win for the SWTS. Up next, new aliens that play a role in the plot.
I think that we got that, right? I mean, Neel for sure. We had some... Kim was a primary.
There you go. Yeah, like
thread.
the owl species, we really haven't seen one of those fully formed in a role. So yeah, I think that actually hits huge. Kim probably better than anyone. I mean, we knew Neel was coming, so we can't use him. But I think Kim is big, and we could even go with Catholips, right? Because he helped them find Renaud's secret lair.
Yeah. I mean, I think that all three of those count. I think that Kim has a place in the Mandoverse storytelling moving forward too, as like an information broker or something like that.
And she clearly is in leagues with the New Republic. They trust her. They'll go off of her tips. It would be interesting to learn, like, what was her initial interaction with Crimson Jack, and why does she hate his guts and try to turn him in? We got that answer now. I mean, he was just a shithead. He was never misunderstood. I mean, he was just a bad guy. All right. So far, so good, young Nick, on our wants. We're getting what we wanted. Expanded pirate story from Mando season 3. I think that hit as well. I mean, Jod was a fucking pirate. Basically, the bad guy was a pirate, and he was a different type of pirate. So.
Yeah. I mean, these pirates were way more similar to the pirates from Mando season 3 than the pirates that we had seen in the animated series when they popped up in the past. I think that, why are they directly linked? I mean, maybe like that's
through Vane. Vane was our connected tissue. And I asked Marty, I was like, hey, Marty, I think fans like myself and, those in the know, they were probably expecting Vane to kind of be the guy, at least a first mate, but he seemed to like just kind of weasel his way in. And once Brutus got killed, he's trying to make his way up the ranks, but they kind of gave that role to Gunter, Jalil's, and then Sissa, and obviously Marty wasn't bent, but didn't we all feel like Vane would have been more of the prominent pirate? So I still think this hits, even though Vane took a lesser role than I think Mandalorian fans thought he would have.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Not too mad at it, but yeah, the connective tissue was there.
And Jalil did not do the Urkel on set, I asked, unfortunately. He's a professional.
I feel like he's like, I'm not fucking doing that ever.
Well, I kind of hinted, or I think Marty kind of hinted, like, yeah, everyone was just professional on set, and we weren't going to do that to that poor man, so...
Yeah, that's...
Explore uncharted regions of the galaxy. Bing, bang, boom. I mean, fucking At Attin was a lost planet. They went to At Akron. Port Borgo had never been featured. The Lanupa, right? So I think we hit on that one. I mean, our wants. We were... No wonder we liked this series, Nick.
We were pretty fucking close.
Holy crap.
On everything.
Yeah, we're getting everything
close.
we wanted. We were spoiled little Star Wars brats. Ancient mystical artifact that drives the plot. I mean,
the Onyx Cinder.
I was gonna say, isn't the ship essentially? I mean, it wasn't as ancient as we thought, but the ship really was kind of the MacGuffin, and it brought us all the way back full circle.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a hit. I think that if you would have asked us before the show came out, we probably would have had a very different idea.
I would have been like, oh, that
artifact
you see that golden elephant statue? You know, that's Neel's mom's sister, and she's the empress.
Yeah. And I mean, realistically, too, you could say that At Attin was that. Like, it was an ancient, mystical, lost
100%.
jewel planet.
100%.
You know, like, while it wasn't, prominently featured in a lot of the show once they got off of it, like, that was what drove the narrative is like, hey, this lost treasure planet is out there, and the only way for us to get back is this other, old mystical ship that is the only way to get there. So
I love that shit.
Yeah, I would say that's a win.
Just so smart. Every decision Watson Ford made is just so damn smart. I mean, isn't it great to think that SM-33 told us all the answers in episode 4? And even then, we're like, oh, there's no way. Tak Renard, he implanted his brain in a robot and he took over At Attin so he could have a... No. They literally mutinied and crashed and burned on At Attin before they could even see the fucking gold. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love it. All right. Our next one for Skeleton Crew before this season began cameos from Mandoverse shows. Well, you know what? Who cares? We didn't need them.
Didn't need them for sure. And look, like I said in the beginning, I think that this show did a fantastic job of telling a self-contained story in a timeline that we are familiar with. And I think that it has done, in my opinion, it's one of the probably the top 3 shows in Star Wars TV, in the Star Wars TV universe, in my opinion.
I agree. It's, if you just want to go pure fandom, it's still hard to discount what was done in Mando season 1 and 2, especially with some of the reveals. I mean, the Grogu reveal in S1E1, the big finale there, the Darksaber reveal, and then the Luke Skywalker save at the end of season 2. I mean, that's powerful, but it's a little bit of cheating, right, Nick? They cheated. Yeah. I mean, Mandalorian cheated just by having a character that looked like Boba Fett. I mean, that's an instant cheat. We're talking about a series that was billed as a show for kids, starring kids, and it ended up hitting. That's, to me, more impressive than what The Mandalorian accomplished.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that they did more with less in terms of, knowable characters.
Yeah, barely any Star Wars juice, right? There's no fucking Riz here for Skeleton Crew. It was all unknown.
Yeah, it's like you didn't have like crazy force powers being thrown out. You didn't have like all of what you would think would be needed to make a show that doesn't feature prominent characters pop.
I mean, just show like someone that's not in the know. Show them a poster of the Mandalorian with Din kitted out in his armor, and then show them a poster of 4 kids and one looks like a blue elephant. What do you think they're going to get excited to turn on?
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. All right. So no cameos, and that's quite all right. Check in with the Shadow Council. That was a big fat 0. And it makes sense now that we know that At Attin didn't even know that there was an empire, so they don't even know that there's a reformed empire. So it would have made 0 sense in this story.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, so we didn't get that. It's okay. We will still say a lot of
It's
nice
also
things.
Highly unlikely that the Shadow Council had any fucking clue what At Attin was.
Well, no, they were probably like everyone else in the galaxy this time, being like, that's some child legend bullshit. Like, that's fairy tale crap, you idiots. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Space battles with new ship designs. Well, we got a little battle at the end. You can't really say it was a new ship design unless you want to throw in the Cinder and it, kind of giving birth to itself. We did get to see B-Wings shoot their quad laser, which has never been done in live action.
Yeah.
This one's itchy, right? Like, it's like,
I don't think it was necessarily, like, we didn't get what we expected
Correct.
to get
so
out
this
of
is
it.
a fail. This is a fail. You're right. It's a fail. That's all right. Just these are wants. These aren't our predictions, so we can't get too down on ourselves quite yet. We wanted a lore dump on the Cinder. I mean, got that in spades, right? I mean, we learned that's not even what it usually looks like, for Christ's sake. So I think we got a pretty deep dive on that lovely ship.
Yeah. I think we got a lot on the Cinder.
Do you like the Cinder's final form better, or its sleek emissary form?
I like the emissary form. I like it's a bit more sleek. It looks a bit more familiar to ships that you have seen.
It kind of had a Naboo vibe to it, with the shiny silver.
It did. It had that vibe to it. I could see that being like a proto J-type Nubian or something like that.
This guy. He's got all the models memorized. We call him Watto over here. All right.
Yeah.
I dig the Cinder, man. I think a sign of any good Star Wars show is when a ship can become a character, and I think that was achieved in Skeleton Crew. So
100%.
Yeah, I mean, just like the Razor Crest, the Ghost, the Falcon. I'm not putting it up in that echelon yet, but it is a memorable ship. It had some cool visual moments, especially when it gave birth to itself. And that is one of the coolest scenes in Star Wars, I think. I love how they did that. All right. We got some other wants here. Yeah, here we go. Plot ties into Mandoverse threads by the finale. The only way we can cheaply say this worked is that the New Republic showed up. I think that's about it.
That's about it for sure.
Yeah, it's weak.
Realistically, the introduction of a new planet into the galaxy is going to have reverberations across the New Republic.
Yeah, this isn't a complete fail, Nick, but it's very light. Yeah. It's very loosey-goosey.
Very, very, very light. Very light for sure. If anything actually comes of it, we haven't seen that direct connection yet.
Correct. Unless Leia, the war minister, was on that CR-90 Corvette rolling in there.
Right. I was going to say, maybe she was checking
Mothma was on there. All right. Star Wars trolls, leave the kids alone. I think for the most part, we got that. And that's good.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that this was probably the least inflammatory that people have been towards a new Star Wars show in a while, which is good. I mean, like, how can you really look at yourself in the mirror if what you're doing is attacking children online?
Oh, it's very easy for a lot of people, at least in the United States these days. So it's not even worth questioning anymore. Listen, the world's broke, so here we are.
Yeah. But I mean, even by Ravi's estimation, he said that they haven't really encountered a lot of
and I do like that
anything like that.
When we asked him, Lucasfilm, there was like a direct kind of I'm not going to say intervention, but Lucasfilm was aware of it. They coached the kids up, and it seems like it kind of paid off in the end. So, I mean, most of these kids were too young to even be on social media up until probably this year. So I think that's good too. And at least Robbie's mom is manning his most of the time. And I think that's
smart.
Probably what should be done. All right. So those were our wants. Not too bad, Nick. I mean, outside of one or two, we pretty much hit on all 10 or 11 of those that we wanted, which means we have good taste. And Chris Ford and John Watts are decent at creating a Star Wars show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not bad.
Now for the predictions. And, we already know we're going to take some L's here. But I have a feeling we probably also had a few wins, as we typically do. I mean, just prognosticating throughout the season, Nick, I think we had some really good kind of episode previews, episode speculations. But let's see, way back there before December 3rd, what the hell were we thinking was going to happen in Skeleton Crew? And the first thing we said is Jadna will be morally ambiguous, a Force user with issues. Well,
I mean, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know if ambiguous is as right, but I would say that he was definitely a Force user with issues.
Yeah. So we were close, and the way he was played, at least up through episode 5 when he put a knife to Fern's throat. And then it got even darker in 7. It was kind of ambiguous to me. And I loved the way Jude chose to play it, and how the showrunners, everyone involved, basically avoided the fact that Jod was going to be the bad guy. I mean, I love that was kind of kept under wraps. So I think we nailed this one. I'm going to go ahead and say every word in here it got paid off on.
100%. I'll say this. He was cordial to the kids for as long as he had to be.
All the way up until he got the coordinates in Renaud's lair, and then that's when he's like, okay, now I'm going to make my move. And he still, like, even in the finale, he had everything he wanted. He still couldn't do it. He could not shoot Fern's parents. He couldn't do it. So
yeah.
In the end, he did have a little more light in him than dark. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one we failed on, even though I think it might have been a cut scene, but one of the kids will have Force abilities.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they were definitely angling for that to probably be Wim throughout the show, and I don't know if like who made the decision for that to hit the cutting room floor if it was filmed. But I will say that I don't think that it was a necessity of the character. And it almost seems like it almost feels better that he doesn't have the Force, because Star Wars has fallen into a place that like they're like everybody who is important has the Force somehow, or everybody who is like,
it's a good point.
You know, like I feel like it's important to have characters that live in this universe that have a level of importance that aren't Force users.
Right.
And I feel like his archetype of character would be one that's perfect for it. That is truly this just like heroically good character that doesn't need like extra powers to be good, or that doesn't need extra powers to be a hero. Like, this kid is who he is and how he is because of what's in his heart and what he believes in. And I don't think that him being able to move a rock from one place to another without touching it changes that.
I think that's a great point. I think another kind of positive aspect of potentially cutting out the fact that Wim, had an affinity for the Force. And it sounded like it was going to be kind of what I teed up in our guess for how the finale would play out, that he would kind of pull it on the ground to him there in that moment instead of just running up and grabbing it. But think about it this way too. It's a good way to avoid kind of outside noise that would just kind of maybe hamper the positive reception of the show. Because you know as well as I do that if this kid exhibited any sort of Force abilities, the internet, the stupid internet that is, would be like, oh, what the fuck? He ain't even trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. It's bullshit. He only reads stories about Jedi. They can't do that shit. So it's just like, yeah, let's just avoid that stuff, For the mouth breezers out there that can't understand this shit's not real, and that, if someone develops a strong affinity for the Force, so what? It's not real, okay? Who the fuck trained Yoda, right? We can go do all that type of stuff if you want to. It's all stupid. But we failed this one. We did not see any Force abilities come out in our kids. Next prediction we had, show will tie into Mandoverse plot threads. Well, sure. If you consider that the New Republic is around when the Mandoverse takes place and that space pirates are a potential issue, then yes, this one paid off.
Yep. I mean, we got space pirates that was in Mando season 3, and then we got New Republic X-Wings, and those have been in the Mandalorian seasons as well.
And we've learned that
threads connected.
The New Republic, they have a pirate busting division, so that's why Tiva wasn't there, and Zeb and all them. They got a special unit, a special squadron just to deal with pirates. Hell, the New Republic dealing with pirates was the opening crawl for this series. So unfortunately, that was many episodes ago, but that was our tie-in to the Mandoverse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we were talking about like where does this show sit in timeline, given that they're like, oh yeah, the New Republic has a pirate busting force, it kind of makes sense for it to be like in a similar time span.
It's probably taking place exactly, dude.
Like,
I mean, exactly. So who cares? It's science fiction. Time's just a construct, right?
Yeah, it's all not real.
Oh man, speaking of not real, out of the blue, I decided it's time to start rewatching some of Arnold's classic action movies with the kid who's 8, and it has not been a disappointment.
That was
dude, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a hero. Like those movies like Commando and Raw Deal, the Running Man. Like, come on, they're so good. It's just Arnold literally going yo, 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 like just yelling and grunting and waving automatic weapons like like they're as light as a feather. I mean, just literally just running around waving machine guns, spraying and killing everybody. It's great. It's good stuff to show an 8-year-old, but it's so old looking, Nick. She like, it's almost like a comedy to her. So the violence doesn't quite hit. So I don't feel like a piece of shit, Dad. All right. Oh, we also did Terminator 1, Terminator 2. I fast forward through the sex scene in the first one though. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I was like, hey, when your dad was 6, 7 watching this was his favorite scene, but your dad's a creep, so we're not going to watch this. All right, next prediction here. Multiple new planets and alien types. Well, let's count them. We got At Attin, At Akron. We got Kim's Moon. We got Lanupa. That's 4.
Yep.
And that's it, right?
That's multiple.
Yeah, okay. So that accounts for multiple. And like you said, we got the Owl Lady and Kim. We got Catholips. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we did it.
Yeah.
I know Glurb. I mean, he was a Quarren, but there was Glurb.
Quarren. Yeah, we've seen Quarren in live action.
Oh yeah, they've been in
right?
Mando too, on the water planet.
So we've already
But I think this hit. So another win for us.
Yeah,
it's quiet in the chat. I knew it would die down the chat these days, but it's always kind of sad to just see it happen real time. We go from like having a buzzy show to just like. Well, that's what you get when you put all your eggs in the Star Wars basket. So here we go. All right. Remnant or New Republic character will play a role in the plot. Yeah, New Republic for sure. I mean, we saw the pirate busting on the moon, and then obviously they came to save the day at Attin. It wasn't Tiva, it wasn't Zeb, but we didn't say that. We just said Remnant or New Republic, so it qualifies.
It was not we didn't say main character. We didn't say named character. We just said
why we're so good at speculating. We just leave them very ominous and broad. It'll work. Oh, shit. I love it.
Like fortune telling. You just be super broad and you're going to fucking hit something.
Oh, dude. Holy hell. All right. Let me get my composure back here. Fucking fortune tellers. Oh, man. Okay. Damn, I don't know why that just like completely scattered my brain when you said fortune tellers. I'm thinking about Oz Perlman and what he did on the Stern show to close out the year.
My dad, when I went home, my dad made me listen. He was like, you got to listen to this.
Okay, good.
Because my dad's a Stern
You heard
show
the bit then.
fan.
It's amazing though, right? Like it's amazing shit. Like what Oz can do.
It was pretty cool. It was a very interesting way. And I was listening to it and knowing that he was like, that the person who did it was a mentalist and like kind of did this as his job, his shtick. It was interesting to see the line of questioning that he was going down and like how he was like specifically picking questions to get information, even though they seemed relatively innocuous.
It's amazing.
It was cool. It was cool to watch.
So did your dad at least lay down the backstory that this secret word has been like with the show for probably, a decade or two at this point in time?
Yeah, he told me everything. He was like, he's had multiple psychics on here and none of them have got it right. There was all these people. Man, he was like, Sal tried to guess
I knew your dad was a fan.
And the guy guessed Sal's word too. Yep. And I was I
knew your dad was a fan. I didn't know he was a super fan. That's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
He's a daily listener then, so good.
He definitely is.
That's awesome. Is he nervous that this could be it? This is the last year?
I don't know. He hasn't mentioned it, but he's got.
Well, tell him that. Then he'll be like, look at that. My son, he cares about me. He's all researched up on Howard now. I'll feed you all the Howard shit that you seem like an all-star to your dad. Anytime you want to impress your dad, let me know. All right.
There you go.
We predicted we'd see the lawlessness of pirate space post-Empire. Boom! Fucking nailed it.
We got that.
Fucking nailed it.
Yeah, we got that.
Like, how's that even a value-based prediction? That's like one of the dumbest things you could ever say about a show that you knew pirates would be in.
But I guess we were coming at it from the angle of like, well, if Hondo's going to be involved in it, then we could see a much lighter
I like that spin.
version of piracy.
I'll take it.
And like we were we were still unclear of how pirates were going to be portrayed in the show, because we were also, for a little bit at the very least, under the impression that Jod was going to be like the
not a pirate. I never
hero.
thought Jod was going to be a pirate going into the series. I'll admit that straight up.
Yeah, so like we thought we were going to get a much more family, I guess, I mean, like family friendly is a way to put it, but a much more like lighthearted version of what piracy
it opens
was
up with
Star Wars.
airlock murder and, you know, taking over of a vessel. I mean, it's wonderful.
And yeah, so we definitely got to see that in full effect.
Killed it. We're the best. So far, we're batting 1,000, I think, outside of the Force abilities.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a bad one. I should not have opened my mouth right there. Hondo cameo won't be the only one. How about there was none?
Yeah, we were off on this one. There's no other way to put it, because there were no cameos. Damn it.
And I know when we were talking about this, I was probably saying to all of us out loud, like, I know this is not going to happen, but I'm still saying it. Like, we just know at this point in time, like, they're not going to do this stuff. Like, fan services, they don't believe in it. Okay, it doesn't happen. So yeah, this was another big miss. This is even bigger than the kids will have the Force miss, because we doubled down, Nick. We're like, yo, Hondo, that's a fucking slam dunk. There's going to be more than just him.
We were super convinced that Hondo was going to be there.
That was
but I do think that of all the ones to miss on, I'm glad we missed on this one, because, you know, I don't think the show needed it. And if he would have shown up, now having seen all of season 1, it would have felt like a real, like, he would have felt out of place.
Yeah, it would have been a crowbar. Like I said, he kind of would have taken away from the other characters. Like, well, what? Hey, here's Hondo. Yeah. Okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, well. At least Tak Renad was Weequay, though. So, I mean, they're the same species, at least.
Yeah.
Right? Hondo's Weequay. He's not Nikto. Yeah, he's Weequay.
Yeah, he's a Weequay.
Strong coming-of-age story vibes. Bingo! I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, these kids... You couldn't have more sheltered kids in the whole galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah, we had no clue that these were literally going to be, as Nick calls them, like bunker babies. So
yeah, like these are, you know, kids that didn't even know that there was an outside galaxy, much less what was going on in the outside galaxy. And then to literally be thrown into a very harrowing situation, coming to age and then being the one to save their planet from, you know, as much as 2 pirate ships could do to it. I would say so for sure.
Yeah, I mean, really, though, I think the one episode you really can point to is like, this is when they get it, is probably episode 6, when they have to save themselves from Lanupa or whatever the name of that planet was, and Wim and KB had that good talk, and, you know, Fern and Neel broke away as the first time the friendships kind of split up, and there's a little bit of issue there, but they all came together, got the ship, saved themselves, and made their way back home. So yeah, I think we got this perfectly, and like Nick said, the fact that they were sheltered from the rest of the galaxy, that just added to their ability to start as these blind, stuck in a closet characters, and then by the end we've got one of them looking to the sky, literally going, I want to do that. So
yeah. All right. Divided asks, do you think Hondo show up in Ahsoka?
No.
Yeah, I think it's hard.
Well,
like, if anything,
the Ezra connection is the only thing, right? Because they are home boys. Like, listen, it was made very clear in Rebels that Hondo has a very big soft spot for Ezra.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, it really depends on like what direction Ahsoka goes in.
Correct.
Like, if we spend a lot of time on Peridia, then the likelihood of him showing up severely decreases. But also, it's regardless of how much time we spend on Peridia, there's gonna have to be scenes of the New Republic mobilizing, because a threat has now entered the playing field. So if the New Republic starts to mobilize, then the likelihood of him coming in goes up, especially with Ezra being back in the fold. So it would like, is he going to be a main player? Almost assuredly not, I would say. But I think that he would be there as like a show of force when the New Republic is like calling its banners to
I mean, Divide's fallen up. Would Hondo work with Hera? I'm guessing we're on a delay. No, I mean, his connection to the Ghost crew was always Ezra. Like I said, they go back to Rebels. He fucks Ezra over at least twice, but comes back to kind of save him in the end. So that's how Hondo could come into it. It would just come down to, like Nick's saying, how much story time are they going to give the New Republic? They have to. I could see it being a 60-40, 70-30 type of split, though. So with that 30-40% screen time, how much do you really focus on ancillary characters like a Hondo, unless it's very specific that Ezra needs to kind of work without the strings of the New Republic, and Hera kind of sends him out to do some underhanded stuff. That would make perfect sense to team up with Hondo for that type of stuff. Yeah. Outside of that, Hondo, while he has sort of kind of turned the page, he's still trying to run a smuggling business on Batuu, I believe, at this point in time. So he's not really, while he is good and wants to kind of help good guys, he's more like a Han Solo and is kind of loosely attached to the good factions.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it really comes down to is like, when does shit really hit the fan in the standard galaxy? Because if it's going to be like Thrawn comes back and then is taking time to marshal forces, or is like there's not immediate conflict, then I don't think that Hondo comes in quickly. I think that Hondo comes in like, all right, shit is hitting the fan, and we really need to pull in all. Yeah,
we need some resources. Because that's what he is, a resource guy. So there you go, Divided. We're always here to serve and please our channel members, as Divided is, as you can see by their lovely Vader cat in the chat here.
There we go.
All right, next one here, Nick. We were killing it. We are killing it with our predictions. Found family tropes. John's sister revealed. Okay, well, we were working on some faulty information on the internet.
Yeah.
Found family, yes. I think that paid off. And I would even argue that Jod, especially at the end, and even Wim. I mean, Wim was like, Jod, like, come on, man. Like, come with us. Like, even Wim wanted Jod with them. So, yes, the kids found family for sure, because we did learn they were not all best friends. They were two little groups. They came together. Now they are a family of friends. That definitely paid off. And like I said, I do feel like Jod, at least to Wim, there was some sort of a connection. Now, Jod's sister, that was a major fail, okay? What? Wasn't a deal.
Yeah, the leakers aren't always right. That's all we can say.
I mean, listen, we saw the listing. It was the wrong actress. It was Haley Webb. It eventually got deleted, and now we found out it was this, Palestinian actress that did it. Jod was never born or related to a Force user. A Force user found him and saw potential and started to train him. So this one's a 50-50. Found family, yes. Yeah. Not sure. I guess because we thought,
the kids found that uncle that they really just don't like.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's the creepy found. Uncle. Very, very good, Nick. Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, Neel, we miss you. Okay, mysterious artifact or tech will drive the plot.
Yeah, that's true.
The ship,
for sure.
I mean, we learned it really was. It all came down to the Cinder. The Cinder is what allowed them to go through the barrier without being nuked by the Maelstrom Nebula. It really was. Finding that ship kicked off everything, and it actually was just the ship. I know Nick and I, we were spinning our wheels early on, like, oh, the ship's the MacGuffin. That's bullshit. Well, no, it actually was the MacGuffin and the real thing. So
yeah, it was the linchpin to the whole show. It
kind of works out that way sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
And next prediction we had before the season aired. The usual trolls will go after the kids, and I'm glad that I think we can say this one failed. I know I did see Star Wars Theory at least made a video about how he likes the show, but no one's watching it because Disney has ruined Star Wars. So there was that, but I really don't think we can say that this was on the level of Acolyte or some of the other vitriol we've seen, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think that this was the lightest in terms of like negative internet discourse around a Star Wars TV show. So yeah,
all right.
Happy that we missed on this one.
So there you go, people. Not too bad. This is one of our better once in predictions. I also think we did pretty all right on the Acolyte. Rest in peace, Acco. We love you. Kamir, we love you. I love Kamir so much. I went back and watched The Good Place. I never watched it before.
It's a good show.
Awesome.
It's a good show.
It's awesome. It's a great, quick 4 seasons, nice little 30-minute hits. And Manny Jacinto, you can see why they picked him to play Kamir as like the bumblefuck that, you know, had a kind of hidden edge to him.
Yeah, I mean, he was essentially like, before he revealed himself as Kamir, he's essentially just playing Jason from fucking The Good Place.
Yeah,
like,
dude, Jason Mendoza is a fantastic TV character. He's so fucking stupid. Dib! Oh, man, he's so great.
Love the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. Blake Bortles. Man, that's a damn good show. It was so good, I almost want to watch the it's not new, but relatively new on Netflix starring Ted Danson, because I forgot how good Ted Danson is. So,
yeah.
But The Man on the Inside or something like that, I think is what it's called.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I've been seeing some previews for
That's
it.
right, League, R.I.P. Acolyte. It is a crappy one. Although I see they're doing something with Vernestra, maybe in a book. Like a prequel. Yeah,
Vernestra was one of the characters that was introduced pre-Acolyte through the books, I believe.
Yep.
And you know, from what I am aware of, like I started reading the first High Republic book again, and I mean, like that publishing initiative is still live, and they're still putting out content for it. So, you know, maybe there's a chance that some of the storylines that were introduced in the show get either expounded upon in the books or something like that. So we'll see where that goes.
Did you guys go see Nosferatu?
Did not go see that.
Is that even something you would want to see? Do you like Robert Eggers movies or?
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what his other films
are. The Lighthouse with Defoe and Pattinson, like that type of.
I have not seen it. Yeah,
it's good. I think Nosferatu is very good. Den of Thieves. I never knew that was even a franchise. The sequel came out. It's not bad. It's not bad if you like those like kind of heist movies. Kind of like that. What's coming out this week? Anything good? I missed last week's.
Yeah, I don't know too much.
Yeah, we're in like the weird part of the year where there's almost no good movies for a week or two, and then they start hitting in February. I think where we got the next MCU is coming out in February. I have zero interest in it, but I'll go see it.
Which one is that? The new Captain America?
Yeah. It's the one with Harrison Ford and all those guys.
Yeah, I want to see that because I like Sam as a character. Yeah. Like I liked him as Falcon, and I'm interested to see what they do with that character and how they play it.
Yeah, but we're gonna get a Red Hawk. I'm down for all that stuff, and I'll go. I've loved Harrison my whole life. You know, I don't like his curmudgeon approach to Star Wars, but outside of that, I love the dude. Love everything he's in. I contend his work on Shrinking is the best work he's ever done. That show on Apple TV Plus with Jason Segel and some other stars, it's some of the most brilliantly written TV I've ever witnessed. I mean, they throw some heavy mental health shit at you, but you're cracking up throughout the entire episode, and then you might be crying by the end of the episode. It's fantastic. All right. I digress. I'm all behind on TV. I'm truly like an old guy that's just going through stacks of shit that I need to get through. I'm finally on The Penguin, and holy shit, you people weren't wrong. That is excellent. Can't wait to get through that. I got to do Dune, Silo Season 2. All right, let's move on. Nick, we got a few little newsies we can just kind of riff on real quick, and then we'll get into the fan segment and punch this bitch out. Some of these have been popping up over the weeks when we weren't here, and then last week, you were down and out. I handled the Marty thing by myself, and by the end of it, I was fucking gassed. I mean, we went for 2 hours. I was dead. I could barely even review Skeleton Crew, the finale for everyone. But I did want to touch on some of these newsies real quick. I would say light spoilers, but who knows. First one, we got 2 rumors, leaks, whatever you want to call it, for Mando and Grogu. These are coming from Bespin Bulletin, so you know it's going to be reputable. Let me slow things down a little bit. First one here, we knew Sigourney Weaver joined the Mandalorian Grogu. We talked about that months ago, maybe even a year ago at this point, Nick. And I think you and I were like, oh, who could she be? Is she going to be a bad guy? Or we think, she seems maybe New Republic. Well, we were right. Sigourney Weaver is going to have a light role in Mando and Grogu movie. Okay, not like a massive scene-stealing, multiple scene type of role. But according to Bespin Bulletin and this Jeff Snyder guy, Sigourney is going to be playing a New Republic colonel whose name is Bishop. I was like, okay, I'm down. I like that. You get the little nod to Alien and her buddy Bishop, the android. Weren't we kind of saying, she's probably going to be like an authoritative figure, possibly for Remnant or New Republic, and here we go.
Yeah. I mean, it's in line. I mean, I think that she fits that vibe pretty perfectly, like to a T. So, yeah, I mean, cool to know. Interested to see how it plays out, and if she plays a role that's like similar to something that we saw Laura Dern play.
There you go.
With, Admiral Holdo.
Maybe a little more hard-assy because it is Sigourney.
Yeah, like a little bit more edgy. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she's not like a naval colonel. Maybe she's more ground forces. Yeah, she'll have like the dots on her chest, the 5-dot thing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dig it. It's Sigourney. She's awesome. She's going to make Star Wars better. So sweet. And the Bishop thing, genius.
Awful. Yeah. Makes sense.
All right. The other one here, and I guess this one's a bit bigger, and I don't necessarily even like this, to be honest with you. This almost seems like Dave Filoni is thinking too hard here. But again, according to Bespin Bulletin via whoever the fuck Christian Harloff is, Embo, Bounty Hunter Embo, first introduced in the Clone Wars, and that is like in the Hondo arc, I believe, right? Where the pirates were trying to steal shit from this little town, and they hired bounty hunters to protect them, and Embo was one of them. But apparently, like I said, Nick, let's see where you go with this, that Embo is going to be a villain in Mando Grogu, and maybe like the villain.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who this Christian Harloff character is. I don't know if he's seen any of these shows that are supposed to lead to this crossover movie that Mando and Grogu is supposed to be, right? Like the Mandalorian and Grogu is supposed to be the crossover film, right?
No, no.
Or is that's a different one?
Correct. Remember, this Mando and Grogu, Nick, is brand new. It came up out of nowhere when I think they're like, let's stop making seasons of TV.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like Embo is, and this is also just what feeds into Filoni maybe not being the best person to run Star Wars narrative TV or like. I
do believe Embo is one of his direct creations.
Yeah, it's just too deep of a cut. Like it's too deep of a cut, and like I guess the best part about it being too deep of a cut is that for most people who are going to see this, they're going to have no fucking clue who he is.
Yeah, and he should look, if they do it right, he should look pretty fucking cool in live action. I mean, this dude had like he can throw like his hat, like a, Raiden almost. Yeah. He's got a breather.
Yeah, so I mean, like he's got an interesting design. But it's just an odd choice for this to be the main villain. But Bounty Hunter versus Bounty Hunter, I guess you could say, would be like the angle that they're going at here with like Mando. Yeah,
there are a few more details, Nick. Apparently, this Harloff guy is thinking that we know Rhoda the Hutt's going to be in here, voiced by the bear guy. And if this is where we're going, it's like, come on, Dave, this seems kind of lazy. But they're saying it's almost going to be a similar storyline to what we saw in the Clone Wars movie, where somehow Rhoda's been kidnapped again, and maybe Din was hired to rescue Rhoda, and Embo is kind of hired to kill Rhoda. So they're competing for the same bounty with different outcomes. And
what an interesting, complete just departure from whatever storylines were happening with these two characters before this movie came out, if this is what this turns out to be.
I think they can work this. I do think Rhoda getting kidnapped again, if this is a thing that's dumb. That aside, though, you could work this.
He's like an adult,
right? It's been done, Nick. It's been done.
It was literally what introduced Ahsoka to the galaxy.
It's like, come on, this is stupid. Either way, if it's kidnapping or not kidnapping, I guess having a known bounty hunter compete against Din, who was a bounty hunter, maybe a ranger of the New Republic now, that could be interesting. It definitely could lead to some interesting skirmishes between the two. I don't know. It does just kind of seem like Dave wanted to get a voice credit in a Star Wars movie. So I don't know.
I don't want to judge this based off of leaked information that may not be true.
Well, the only reason we're giving it weight is because Bespin Bulletin is corroborating a lot of what this Christian guy's saying, and Bespin so far really hasn't missed, sadly.
Well, here's what I'll say. This sounds super fucking underwhelming for a standalone movie with these two characters. Given everything that they've done in the TV show, this is what you're going to make your movie about? Some bullshit that you already made? It just seems like, I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, it seems weak for this to be what their film is about. All
right, we got Imperial Activities telling us they don't trust this Christian too much, which is, I get it. I never heard of him either, but the fact that Bespin Bulletin is corroborating, that's where I'm like, because Bespin Bulletin will not report unless they know it's legit and they've verified multiple sources. What up, Thrawn Kill?
We'll see what happens, but I gotta say, man, these two characters that you're speaking about right now have interacted.
You're not excited about Rhoda the Hutt and Embo?
Not even a little. It seems like that should have been the fucking TV show shit, and then the movie should have been retaking Mandalore. That seems like it fits more in a movie realm in terms of importance of storytelling. You are right, because large scale.
This Mando and Grogu, if they're lining up to just be kind of standalone, just to further the adventures of Mando and Grogu, now that Grogu's becoming a Mandalorian apprentice, like Nick's saying, I mean that's fucking TV show stuff.
That's this is animated.
Yeah,
TV show
let
shit.
that
this isn't even
develop
live action
over a season. If the movie truly is, he just is hired by whatever faction to save Rhoda the Hutt for whatever reason. How's that going to push anything forward for the main Mandoverse plot lines, aka fucking Thrawn's returned?
And it's especially given where we left them, right? We left them in retirement.
Well, with the understanding that they're going to take on ranger jobs from Tiva.
Yeah, exactly. Work with the New Republic for New Republic stuff, and a Hutt getting kidnapped again doesn't seem like New Republic stuff.
Yeah, unless Rhoda is in the New Republic and he's one of their senators, I don't know. I mean, you could argue that the Hutts have turned on him because he does have an affinity for doing good and not cartel stuff. But that's still, man, that's self-contained Din story. That doesn't move the galaxy forward. And I do believe we need to start, if we're going to keep calling Dave's second movie a crossover, we need to start fucking crossing things over.
Yeah, I would say you got to get to a point to where your threads aren't parallel before they cross. They got to start coming towards each other, and then they cross.
Yeah.
I don't see. I mean, and look, I don't doubt that it'll be fun, and like the characters will be portrayed in a very interesting
Hopefully this is just the
way.
opening mission, right, Nick? This is just the opening to
Yeah,
reintroduce us to, hey, Din's skill set. Hey, look what Grogu can do now. Look how they work together. It's no longer, one protecting the other. They're a real team. And then we get into the actual plot.
I would hope so, because if this whole movie's about them chasing down some fucking third-rate bounty hunter from an animated TV series arc that like didn't even last the full season,
who's after a hut that was a kidnapped baby, that's his only screen time.
And then like you're literally recycling a plot point that you already did. Like, holy shit! Like that is some questionable decision making.
Yeet. Been watching a lot of Raw these days since it went to Netflix. Can't help myself. My kid loves fucking wrestling, and I'm not going to complain. I still argue it's not as entertaining as it was during the Attitude Era, but
that was the last time that I really watched.
Good.
Was
so good.
That time?
So
yeah.
Good. Like it just the storylines aren't there these days, but she digs it, so I watch it. Yeet. All right. So there's that. And this stuff is only going to heat up, people. I know we're still over a year away from this movie releasing, but the fact that this stuff has been trickling out now, it seems like the past 3 weeks, it's only going to get more and more revealing as the months tick by in 2025.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic for this movie, and hopefully this is the first 15 minutes of this movie, and that's all.
All right. Looks like Thronkill he's an Uso fan. Yeet. All right, what else we got here, Nick? This one just popped up today.
I did see
I don't want to do that one yet. Let's do the other Ahsoka one real quick. What do you think about Rory McCann taking over for Rey? Just real quick.
Yeah,
apparently they were buddies in real life, right? Something like that.
I don't know that much, but I would believe it. I mean, Rory is a character that we know from Game of Thrones most, and has obviously played a character that's slightly different than what we see in Baylan. The fact of the matter is, like, there's no good option. Like when you're trying to replace a character that was so masterfully portrayed by Rey, you're just not going to find somebody that has both the look and the gravitas.
I know.
I think that he was able to bring out in that character in such a short period of time.
Does Rory give us one or the other at least? I mean, do we get the gravitas or the look?
I mean, I think that what it's going to be interesting is how, like, do they even address it? Right? Like,
probably not.
In a forced recasting, you have to make a decision early on in the character's storytelling whether you want to address the elephant in the room or just put a sheet over it and pretend it's not there. And you could, like, what I would think may happen is, if they want to somehow address it, is they progress the story to a point to where they have already started their journey towards this temple, and it has, like, had an effect on Baylan physically, like whatever force is there
you go.
Like, and then that way you can speak to your audience in a way that's not like you're not treating them like they're blind. Nick,
do you think they had the balls to say, "Hey, Rory, great career, we love you. Would you mind wearing the face balls so we can implant Rey's face over yours?"
Yeah, it's like it's not even going to be you on screen. We're just going to fully replace your face. If they did that, I would be real fucking surprised.
Like Matt Planck is like, God, I hope they don't explain why he looks different. Yeah, just roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to do, because it's like, do you just go at it in a way where it's like, yeah, I look different, bro, and I ain't gonna talk about it?
I've had this happen to me one time before in a series I loved, in a character that they just had to recast. And does anyone remember the Spartacus series on Starz?
I do
remember
like that
10
the guy
years.
Who played the original character died.
Yeah, he got cancer, like, after filming, died. They brought in Liam McIntyre for the final 2 seasons, and while it was close, he just never recaptured the same essence as the original. And guess what, people? That's going to happen here too, and it sucks.
Yeah.
but at least they're recasting and not throwing the character and his planned story away.
Yeah,
I gotta get this shit off. It's Jon
that,
Stewart showing Elon's nice salute that people don't think it is what it
Nazi
is.
Salute. Yeah, he just threw up a Nazi salute
no
on
big deal.
TV, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I do think, yeah, they also did it in Game of Thrones too. They did it, like, they've done it in places, but it, like, this one feels big because of how like much that character made an impact on that show.
I mean, he's going to be a main plot thread in the second season.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the main characters. So I think that Rory can capture the gravitas in the essence of that character, because I think that he has the acting ability to do it. I think what it comes down to is, like, do you just not address the physical change? I think that you can get away with not doing it. But you really have to, like, in my opinion, like, Rory really needs to study Ray's performance in season 1.
Line delivery, really, the physical moves, everything.
Yeah, just like more than anything, like the character's perspective on the galaxy and how he interacts with those around him, right? Like, that's what really made Baylan an interesting character, was not necessarily his fighting style or anything, but the way that he viewed the galaxy and why he chose to help Morgan Elsbeth in the journey to go get Thrawn. Like, that was a completely selfish endeavor, and while it was, you know, like, while everything that he did was to the benefit of Thrawn and Morgan, like, he had his own agenda, it was still, and he had his,
to get him,
like,
there.
He had his own reasons.
Correct.
And like, I think that Rory needs to really understand that character's motivations and like really understand why he's doing what he's doing and how important it is to him that he continue on this journey in the face of all of the odds that are in front of him. So, like, just do like a deep character study. I mean, I know it's only like an 8 episode or 10. I can't remember if it was 8 or 10. It was like a short episode series, but like having discussions with the writers that did a lot of the Baylan heavy episodes and truly understanding the inner workings of that character, because that's what made him interesting.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I guess Rory was just in Gladiator 2. Had no clue. I think that just hit Paramount Plus this week for those that haven't seen it yet. Edgar writes Hot Fuzz, Triple X Return of Xander Cage, Jumanji The Next Level, and he was on the Knuckles show for Paramount Plus. All right. Sonic's just a damn good movie franchise. That's just a random thought. I'm getting it out there. The third one was great. Jim Carrey's an all-star. It is said that Rory and Ray were good friends. I'd hope he will do his best, especially for his friend. Yeah, Imperial, I kind of read the same thing, so hopefully that is the case. And I think he's a professional. Like Nick said, he probably is going to do what it takes. All right, we got one more little newsie hanging down here, and this one just dropped today. Hollywood Reporter, so it's the big rags as they call them. But according to them, Nick, they're saying that Ryan Gosling is in talks, Mr. Ken himself, just Ken. He's in talks to star in Sean Levi. How do we say this guy? Sean Levy?
I think it's Levy, yeah. But I don't know.
Anyways, the guy that just made $1 trillion with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, none of this is confirmed. Levy's movie apparently isn't even close to production. He's been working on a script for over a year. Gosling in Star Wars, that'd probably be the first true A-list stud in a starring role, right? Something Star Wars really doesn't get into.
Not really. Like, in terms of like the movie version, like the movie side of Star Wars, I mean, you could argue that Jude Law was probably the biggest star that's ever been in Star Wars up to this point. I mean, I'm not trying to like shit on Alec Guinness or Peter Cushing or anybody from that era of filmmaking. I just think it's a different time, and stardom is much different than it was in the 70s. But he would probably, and especially given his last role in Barbie and how big that was, and how much of an impact that like his portrayal of Ken had on like the public perception of him as an actor, yeah, I mean, like he's probably the biggest
And
actor that's ever been in Star Wars.
I don't hate it. I think Gosling is a fucking stud. Like I really think he is good at what he does. He was fun in the Stuntman movie. He's just good.
Yeah, I liked him in Fall Guy.
Yeah, I think he has to play a very particular type of character, though. I don't want Ryan Gosling as like a sage Jedi master. I think he is 100% in that Han Solo type of role.
Yeah,
you know, scoundrel,
and I mean,
smuggler.
If you look at
he can't be I don't want him to be like a fully righteous good guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at Levy's filmography, and look, he took a long time off. Like before 2021, he hadn't made a movie since 2014. But like his movies are typically like tongue-in-cheek, kind of funny, like Free Guy. He did Free Guy. He did The Atom Project. He did Deadpool, Wolverine. He did I think it was the third Night at the Museum.
Bro, him and Reynolds are basically creative partners at this point in time.
Yeah, like, you know, so he typically plays it a little bit more lighthearted and funny. I'm not saying that, and look, I'm not trying to typecast either him or Ryan Gosling because I know that they both have the chops to do other. I mean, like Ryan's breakout role was in The Notebook, and that was probably the most sappy love dramatic bullshit you could ever see.
Beware the Star Wars Notebook from Thrawnkill. He had it before he even said it.
Like, look, he had it lined up.
Nice one.
But like, I mean, he can do it. Like, he has the chops to be able to play serious roles.
Of course.
But I think that if you pair these two together, especially given their recent history with both Levy and Gosling, you're probably going to build a character that is more smuggler type of roguish, anti-hero.
Even if he's kind of like Lando in a position of power, but still that archetype of, can we trust this guy? You know, he seems kind of slapdicky, a little slimy, but he also doesn't seem like just a complete evil person.
Yeah. I don't think that he'll be a bad guy. No. And if he's in this movie, like obviously, like they're saying here, he's going to be the star of this movie. So I doubt that they would play him as like a dark side star because Star Wars typically doesn't do that. Like they're not a fan of having the dark
I don't want
side.
I don't want him as a bounty hunter. I mean, I hate keep saying, oh, just be Han Solo. I don't want that either, but I think that is his niche in Star Wars.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what comes of this. I mean, we've heard a lot of things about Star Wars movies.
Would you
never
take
came to fruition,
Kyle Katarn-esque type of character for him, or too much of the fantasy then?
I mean, I think that he could play it. I think that like Kyle Katarn is now like a very legacy character, and I think that he has elements that Gosling could pull off. I'm just like, what I really want to know about this is just give me a time period. Like you don't have to tell me everything about it. Like if you just tell me a time period, then you can start to at least get a look at what the galaxy is going through at that time and see what fits in it narratively. Because if it's sequel timeline and it's post Rise of Skywalker, you're in an area to where you have a lot more ambiguity and a lot more freedom to kind of tell a story that doesn't have to adhere to like specific galactic conditions at that time, for lack of a better phrase. And if you, so, I mean, like, I feel like if they were like, oh yeah, it's going to take place after this or in this time period, you could have a better idea of kind of probably how it's going to play out. But,
yeah, you would. Yeah, I'm with you. I hope it's set beyond the saga, if you will, but you never know. Hey, listen, this is a Star Wars movie that has not rolled film yet, so it doesn't even exist. Like it could get wiped or delayed for decades, like all the other announced movies. So don't get too excited here about Gosling. Either way, either don't get too upset, don't get too excited, because there's a good chance this thing never even sees the light of day.
Yeah. So I mean, but hey, would be cool to see.
All right. Nice. So we got our newsies in. We put Skeleton Crew episode 8 to bed and determined it is a top tier type of series, Nick. So I think it is time for a little fan segment. Since we are early here, we're going to go ahead and do a little Ask Us Anything because we don't have a ton of questions. and the fans, at least one particular fan wants to hear from Nick because he wasn't here last week for a very specific question. So we'll go ahead and get in with a few Ask Us Anythings, Nick, and then we'll roll into the fan segment to punch this little episode out. All right, let's get the questions up here. Real quick, got to make a few button presses. We had some screens falling asleep because of how much we talk. Mm-hmm. All right. Here we go. All right, so Johnny Osage Av is asking...
we basically answered this question.
Yeah.
Johnny says, if Gosling is being brought into Star Wars, do you think he's a Han Solo type of character? I think we kind of just discussed that.
Look at that. Perfect transition, segue right into Ask Us Anything, and it dovetails right off our last topic. So, Johnny, if you had the ability to listen to our stupid mouths for the past 5 minutes, your answer can be found.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, probably we leaned into probably roguish smuggler type, right, anti-hero type character.
Thrawn, I'll get your question right now. Actually, best books, and I'm only bringing it up because Nick is here. Otherwise, I'd say I can't read.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite book series from Star Wars is the Darth Bane trilogy. Like that's always been my favorite for years now. I think those came out.
Definitely young Rory Smith. Love that, and I think he's moved on to the Revan stuff now. So
yeah, I mean, the Revan stuff is going even further back in time and is tied in with the Star Wars: The Old Republic series, which is also our Star Wars: Old Republic video game MMO, which is also very good. But yeah, for me, it was definitely the Bane trilogy and exploring the reinstitution of the Rule of Two and how the galaxy went from a position of constant Jedi, like large scale Jedi versus Sith battles that were like pretty fucking crazy, to basically the start of the Rule of Two that led to Palpatine taking over. So I thought that is always going to be the ones that I recommend. It's only 3 books too. So
yeah, we're talking about all this old stuff, and I know it's not old, but I've been playing Jedi Outcast on PS5.
There you go. And did they up-res it, or is it?
I mean, slightly, Nick. It definitely performs better. It loads quicker. It still is wonky as shit. I mean, dude, it's amazing. We played games like that, and I know why I could do it, because I had to play Nintendo games where they were basically coded to make you want to punch stuff and hurt yourself because they're so hard. But dude, everything's so floaty. The control is like, I just sit there, I'm like, wagga, 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 and you might eventually kill somebody, or they'll kill you in one shot. It's just like
the follow up to that one is fun too, Jedi Academy, and it still has that like floaty battle feeling and all that shit too.
I don't know. I just think that like I don't know, that Kyle Katarn and Ryan Gosling, that is a good matchup. I think, and that type of character, that swashbuckling Force user, we don't really have one of those in live action.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Imperial Activity. Is Matt more of an audiobook listener? I don't get into what we call here words and shit. I just, too much time is spent on the desk creating content for Star Wars Time Show or my real job. So reading books has really kind of fallen by the wayside, and I hate myself for it, but it just... Also trying to teach myself guitar. There's just not enough free time in the day to read or listen. Thank you.
There you go. All right.
Okay, next one question. We got. Yeah, all right. This one is directed to you, Nick, from our buddy Abigail, Divide Skywalker. I answered it last week. So she wants Nick to answer her question from last week. If your pet or pets could talk, what would they say about you?
So Ellie, which is my cat that is usually seen on the camera, and right now she's sitting next to me staring at me as I'm talking. Ellie would say to me, that's a good question. Ellie would probably say to me, why did you bring all of these other people into our lives? Like, that's what she would say. Like, 100%.
I thought you loved me. I thought I was all you ever needed. Then you bring in this woman and these fucking dogs.
Yeah. So, so I I had Ellie for 4 years, just me and
Oh,
Ellie.
dude, you're so
before.
right. That's exactly what she's
Yeah.
saying right now.
100%. So that's what Ellie would say. Ash, my pup, Ash would say, "Why are you not playing with me right now?" Or like,
Can we eat? 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 Can we eat?
yeah, it's like, can you take me outside? Can we go play? She would definitely say that Dad gives the best treats because Dad's the only one in the house that gives
There
treats.
you go.
So that's what Ash would say. And then Izzy, who is Taylor's cat, Izzy would just say, "Who?"
Yeah, I hate all you.
Izzy is like our little stoner cat.
Yeah.
Like Izzy, like whenever there's something going on that involves the animals, like Izzy works on her own time schedule. Like when we put food down for the animals, like Ash and Ellie are right there, and then Izzy like wanders up like 20 minutes later. Is like, "Oh man, look at this! I got food down. Fucking sweet, man."
Yeah, like,
And then like I'm like giving out treats, and then Ash and Ellie run right up to me, waiting for me to put down the treats, and then I'm calling Izzy, like, "Izzy, come on, treat time, treat time." And then
I'm sleeping, damn it.
Yeah, like I'll sit back down, put the treats away, and then Izzy strolls up 30 minutes later,
Hey.
like, "Hey man, where's the treats,
yeah, what's going
bro?"
on, dude?
So Izzy would look at me and be like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, I love it.
That's what they would say to me.
Oh, you're real?
Yeah.
Dude, your first answer was the best because I know that's what that cat's saying. Like, "You son of a bitch, I fucking hate you."
Yeah, 100%.
Why did you do this? Why did you do that to me? All right, next one. Dankfair.toys. Favorite in the series character arc, fave moments, fave villain, less dream, tell us your idea. Okay, I guess this is all for Skeleton Crew. All right, here we go. Favorite character arc, Jadna in the Wood. Favorite moment, honestly, probably Wim lighting the saber backwards. Favorite villain goes back to Jod. And Let's Dream, tell us your ideal season 2. I think we kind of ran through that, but real quickly, I think my ideal season 2, it covers plot lines revolving At Attin's rejoining the galaxy and what that means. It shows what the kids are getting into, and we learn a bit more about what is happening with Jod post his imprisonment.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, so
favorite character
arc. I think that my favorite character arc was probably Wim. Like, really, he was the one that felt most affected by all of the happenings because he was such a gleefully innocent character.
He's a dreamer.
Yeah, and to like see how to see him really go through that wave of like everything's great, everything fucking sucks, everything's like, and then come back up and like be the hero at the end, like the one that really like led the charge and the one that was like defiant.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Parents.
He's like, "Hey, Dad, we got to do something, man."
Yeah, I think that Wim is probably my favorite character arc.
Okay, moment.
My favorite moment was Jod kneeling down while all the gold just falls into his hands because it was like
an orgasm.
Yeah, because it was like up to that point, you're like, does this character have any additional motivations? Does this or is this character exactly what he says he is? Like, he's a fucking
Cold,
pirate that wants fucking pirate gold.
Credits.
And to like see that moment where like he finally steps into that vault and that gold comes down on him, it really did confirm like who his character was and what his intentions were this whole time. And I thought that even though it was a relatively short moment, I think that Jude really nailed it.
He was having a wet dream in real time, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Villain?
Favorite villain? I mean, it's Jod because of how well it was played, but favorite villain design was Brutus. I thought that Brutus looked fucking awesome. I think that the voice that they used for him was perfect. I think that like the viciousness in which he acted even to his crew was awesome. So I'll say character arc wise Jod, but like just in terms of like general villain demeanor, I think it was Brutus. And then season 2 ideas. I agree with Matt largely on this. Like, is really seeing how At Attin's reintroduction into the galaxy affects the people of At Attin, including the kids that we followed through, and then two, like the galaxy as a whole, because now that this place is opened back up and it's no longer a myth, like you have to imagine that this planet is going to need some fucking serious protection.
Yeah, you better turn that damn barrier back on, or turn it into a tourist destination, right? Capitalize.
Yeah, like you really need to like the people of At Attin and the planet itself is going to need a serious overhaul in terms of how it functions and how like everything.
They're almost going to need to go to the New Republic. What were they calling it in Mando season 3, where the Imperials go to, like a reconditioning center or whatever?
Yeah,
they're almost going to be, because the people on At Attin are like, oh wow, we can actually leave the planet. Mom, I want to go see Alderaan. I've always wanted to go see Alderaan. I've always heard how pretty it is. And they're like,
yeah, they're gonna be like,
oh fuck, how do we tell them that? Alderaan's gone. It fucking got blown up by a thing called the Death Star.
Yeah.
What? A what? Oh shit. Yeah, they'd be like, what the hell did we miss for the past few generations?
Yeah, there's going to be a long re-education period, reintroduction to these people. It's like,
I want to go see the Chancellor on Coruscant. That doesn't exist anymore.
It's like, how do we break all of this news to you?
But Mom, what about the Jedi Temple? I've read about it in my books. I can't wait to go see them. All the Jedi in their white and gold robes. Well, let me tell you something about that.
I can show you one Jedi, maybe.
Yeah, they may all be dead. All right. Good stuff there.
Lots to catch up on.
Got another question here. One more.
Yeah, Ripik Tan.
All right. Ripik Tan is asking, think a comic series about Captain Renaud could be in the works?
I mean, I don't doubt it. I think that the comics give you an opportunity to tell a lot of stories that would never be re-explored.
Probably the best way to cover, if they wanted to really kind of bring it into the canon and not just have hearsay through Jod and SM33, then yeah, comic is probably the best. A little four series mini run.
Yeah, I think a mini run would be perfectly fine. It would basically be like the run that shows them, like, I mean, and the thing about Rennet is, like, Rennet's probably not that different than fucking Jod. Yeah, it's like, that's why he got mutinied and killed.
We kind of know the whole story, unfortunately, because Smee told us. I mean, we know he wanted to find At Attin because it was legendary. He found it by going to the other At planets. He was able to land on it because he stole a Republic emissary's ship and kitted it out with armor. But like Nick said, because they're pirates, they couldn't trust each other, and his concubine with the first mate led a mutiny, and they all died. Yeah.
So I think that what that comic series would be really good for is like portraying the other jewel planets that we haven't seen already. Like, we've only seen Attin and Akron, but like, I think it would be a fun journey and a good exploration of that time period in Star Wars to see him go to all of those other jewel planets and like stuff like that. So yeah, I think it could be fun.
All right. Is that it on the questions there? Because then we can just get right into question of the week. So we typically do ask us anything first. We may have to start shifting things around with Nick's new schedule. I need to talk to him. We may just, like I said, just move the show to 5:30. It's seeming like that may just make sense. But we usually do ask us anything first, and then we end the show with our fan segment. So now we are officially kicking into the fan segment. There's two ways to get in there. We do the question of the week, which we post on pretty much all of our social feeds. You just got to be following, turn on notifications, all that jazz. TikTok, oh no, I don't put them on TikTok, but Instagram, the YouTube community tab, in our Discord, which is open. Just check the description of this video. All that stuff will get posted too. You just got to find it, and then you have to reply to it. Thrawn asking about Smee, comparable to Smee from Hook. Yeah, I mean, just the spelling of his name, it was a pretty...
I will say that SM33 is way more fucking useful.
Yeah, way more competent, Smee. That's for sure.
Way more badass than Smee from Hook.
Yeah, the name thing the most, Thrawn kill, for sure.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to Marty, I mean, 33 was the star of the show. Like
that makes
best
sense.
Character, best to work on set. His eye, Little creepy guy. All right. So, anyways, question of the week. Like I said, we theme it to something we'll be talking about on the show. You all just have to respond to it in some form or fashion if our AI overlords will let you. We did get a few responses here. First one, Nick, is coming from Abigail Sky.
There we go. Abby says SM33 coming up from the hole on Lanupa dripping in treasure. And then that was funny.
He's like, all right, John's like, get him. He's like, oh god, and then just instantly iced.
Just boom. Yeah, one of the first deaths of SM33 in this show. And then Wim fixing KB. Then her calling him a Jedi. That was cute. That was some good character development moment there for sure. Next up, EKU Rory says the lightsaber battle in episode 1. For those of you who can put that together in your head, it's when the kids were playing in the street together with their little fake lightsabers.
You know what? I'm glad you work here. Because when he put that in, I was like, what is this fucking guy trying to do? Like, what is he talking about? Does he think we're talking about like the Acolyte or something? We mean lightsaber battle episode 1, and it still didn't click until young Nick was like, oh yeah, their fake fight. It's like, well, no shit, I'm an idiot. Yeah,
there you go. See, it was when they had their little imaginary lightsaber battle.
Okay, all right. Okay, EKU, you're not as dumb as you look.
You got it. Jedi Order 17. I think this is on YouTube, or this might be
this is
Discord.
A YouTuber.
There we go. He says, or they say, my ranking of all skeleton crew.
That's
crew
one way
members
to process the question of the week. All right.
Yeah, ranked is Neel number 1, KB number 2, Wim number 3, Jadna Nawood number 4, SM33 number 5, and Fern number 6. Whoa, man, some disrespect for SM.
Fern way down there.
Fern way down. I will say that Fern, she let her emotions get the best of her a lot, but that's what happens with little kids. They can't always be emotionally mature enough to see that they maybe should just work with their friends instead of calling them names. Clone Wars 501 says, I really enjoyed the show and probably the first episode, most especially when Wim and Neel are playing with their imaginary lightsabers. There you go. Him and EKU Rory on the same page. Loved the show and it was pure old-fashioned fun. Nice. 2797 Studios, Bat2797 in our chat. He says, let me start by saying I really enjoyed the show. I thought they nailed the wonder and imagination of the kids and dropped it into a dirty, grimy galaxy far, far away. I enjoyed the characters and the actors who portrayed them. The practical effects and smooth transitions into the vault were masterfully done. SM33 is still my boy. Favorite moment, maybe the speeder chase at the end.
Good.
SM33's, that was fun. SM33's eye moment sticks with me. Yeah, he was good. I don't know who did the voice acting on that, but they
Nick
fucking
Frost.
nailed that pirate. Oh yeah, Frost did it. He fucking nailed that pirate accent. Port Borgo stands out. Bravo to all those involved. Good times in a galaxy far, far away. SW Props, Justin, our boy, who set up that interview.
Get shit done. He had a hand in, for those of you that like going to cons and doing signatures, apparently he has worked with, is this Orlando, I believe, MegaCon, to have Jude Law there and all of the kid actors.
Damn, look at that.
It'll be the
Justin
first time the
movies,
Skeleton
bro.
Crew cast is back together since filming.
Fuck yeah. Justin's the man. But anyway, Justin says, probably the first and last episodes. I love the mysteriousness of the first episode and the action-packed finale. Another favorite moment is probably the part where Wim and Vane joined the Star Wars Time show. Boom.
That's right.
There we go. That's what we're talking about, baby. And then League of Extraordinary Sixers agrees with an IE. Johnny Osage Avenue. He says, hello, SWTS. There were a lot of great moments in SC, but the repair and reboot of KB was pretty cool in the Pirate Lust Euphoria of Jad as the gold credits spilled.
It's like
over
Lando
him.
calling Han Han.
Yeah. As the gold credits spilled over him in his hands. A space pirate's life for me. Good stuff there from
I
Johnny.
love you idiots that listen to this show and interact. I'm saying that in it's coming from a place of love. I really do. Look at this smile
Yeah.
you guys bring to my face. I love this part.
Oh man. And then finally, League of Extraordinary Sixers. She's always around. It's, the team in this show really captured the essence and wonderment of being a kid. I remember watching the Goonies as a kid, and it brought me back to all those feelings. But it was Star Wars this time. So much fun. Then I love that KB had two moms, and it wasn't hidden in the background somewhere. Yeah, perfect stuff there. I love the portrayal of KB. Like, KB was stealth one of my favorite characters for sure. I think that she was probably my second favorite of the crew. I love Neel. I love Neel and like how he was played. He was probably my favorite. And like stealth second is for sure KB. I think that KB probably could have done more in this show, but the way that they played her to be like the silent smart one that's
she's
like
the
always
tech.
reliable.
She was the tech.
Yeah. I really enjoyed how that character was portrayed.
Hey there, Anthony, YouTube fan. Hi, gentlemen. I don't know how I missed this when I asked to be alarmed when this stream started. I now have 2 alerts for it. What gives? What are we talking about?
Damn, what the hell, YouTube?
Well, here's the deal, Anthony. You're probably getting 2 alerts because we broadcast... Well, I got balloons.
Oh, he said now he's got 2 alerts, so he set up a second alert.
I got balloons popping up on my feed for some reason.
I was gonna say, you got balloons all over you. Look at this. Congratulations, Matt.
I'll put up 2. I know it's sometimes Apple, like certain hand gestures. It's just like, okay, do this.
Yeah. Every now and then you'll get a random thumbs up.
Yeah, I know. That's
that's
because I must sit there with my thumb sticking out, like I want to sit on it or something. I don't know, but yeah. Don't mind the man behind the camera here. Anyways, good to see you, Anthony. We are currently in the fan segment going through question of the week. All right, here we go.
Yeah, there we go. So that was it for question of the week. We just finished it up. Leagues 1 was the final one. So, I mean, lots to like about this series, honestly. If you're a Star Wars fan, a good old-fashioned Star Wars fan, I think there's a lot to love about this series, regardless of whether you like kids as main characters or not. It's always some good stuff in Skeleton Crew. So now we're going to transition into the Star Wars Time Show's top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved with this, make sure you follow us at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram, and then tag us at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Star Wars art posts on Instagram. That's how you fall into the tagged feed, and that's where I pull the top 5 from. Easy, right, guys? Easy to do. Kick off this top 5 this week. We have 97 Parsecs Photography, one of our absolute faves over here at the Star Wars Time Show. Tags us all the time and just has some incredibly detailed shots. And this one here is pretty fucking
great,
sick.
dude.
So you see,
Sheev.
you see Sheevy Palpatine. Walking flanked by all of, I guess these are probably like the brand new stormtroopers, right? Like this is probably right at the transition between.
Yeah, I mean, Nick,
like
you could
Republic
argue
to Empire.
he is walking into the Senate to give his Empire Day speech.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it. He's already all fucked up from his fight with Mace Windu. Yeah. He's got his
maroons on.
His side.
He's got his nice dress
he's
on.
Still got those. Dude, I mean, like the rain effect is incredible. The troop transport in the back, dropping them off, flying off, great posing on all of the figures is absolutely spot on as always with 97. I mean, just top tier work here for sure. Good stuff. Yeah. Next up, we got Wookiee Revenge.
I love this. This is awesome.
I love this too. I mean, this is Wookiee Revenge giving us the Skeleton Crew episode 1 shot when the kids first show up in the Onyx Cinder, and then they see all of the results of the mutinous activity that went down before the ship crashed.
These damn concubines can't trust them.
That's right. Finding the skeleton. I love the posing. I love the use of atmosphere, so you can see some smoke there in the background. The kids holding the flashlights is absolutely perfect. I mean, it's just such a good representation.
It's like I said, I mean, this to me, it's a wall hanger, right? It just captures the essence of Skeleton Crew and the kids, specifically Neel and Wim, perfectly. Like I like this show so much, Nick. I finally did a little toy shoot last week. I shot
There you
Black
go.
Series for the first time in probably 6 years because of this show and these characters.
Damn,
Spoiler
that.
alert, it's not going to look this good, okay? For those of you wondering. It's not going
Not yet.
to look as good as Wookiee Revenges, but I had to get these little guys on film because I really appreciate the show. And as we talked before on the SWTS, the way I like to honor my appreciation for things I love is usually to spend way too much money on collectibles. So
There you go.
there's that.
There you go. So good stuff here. Wookiee Revenge, and everybody keep an eye out for Matt's Skeleton
That's right.
Crew. shots
Haywood
coming
Pop
to.
may awaken.
There you
The
go.
Haywood
Coming
Pop
to an
awakens.
Instagram feed near you. Haywood Pop. All right. Next up, we got Mando mugshots. Mando_mugshots, and this is a shot from the Mandalorian television series. Have you heard of it? So what we see is the armor here, the Camp Tono right there, and then Mr. Din Djarin right in the foreground of the screen. I mean, this is
he's
the,
in his
you know,
Durasteel. Like, this is
I was saying, this is the
pre-Beskar
old-
Din.
Yeah, this is like season 1 Din with like the Camp Tono given from the client. Like this is early season 1 type of stuff. And I think that Mando Mugshots did a great job of really filling in this scene with a fantastic diorama. I don't know if this is the Dio or if this is a Digirama, but Mando Mugshots got a great background on this shot. Good lighting shining off of the armor's shiny gold head. The Camp Tono and the figures all have good weathering on them. I mean, this is just a nice, clean Mando season 1 shot.
We got a good question here from Dover asking our favorite jizz band, Nick. What's your favorite jizz band? Do you know what that is?
It's got to be the modal nodes, right?
Okay.
Like they're
All right, so
they're
you're going
they're
Figuring Dan and the
premier.
modals. I might.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. They definitely have the most catchy of banger out
Famous.
there with the Cantina song, but
They do.
Max Rebo's band cannot be discounted. So
That is true.
I think I'm going to throw
think the-
Rebo up there as my jizz
the
artist.
the remix in the that we got in the re-edits
Bullshit.
of the you know,
Terrible, yeah.
maybe take it easy on the remix there, Max Rebo, but the original track solid.
Right. But yeah, you're probably right. I think Figuring in the modals are probably the most iconic.
There you go.
All right.
Uh,
Back to the
so
art.
Good stuff there from Mando_mugshots on Instagram. And then we have Black Series Bonanza here. Black Series Bonanza hitting us with a bunch of B2s on the battlefield. You can see their B1 buddies dead in the background, as they usually are. The fodder.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Mine is Evar Orbis and his galactic jizz whalers.
Oh, dude, that's got
I
like
love this stuff. I didn't know there was so many. I should probably go on Wikipedia and see how many jizz artists we have in the Star Wars
dude,
universe.
You know
man.
that like all of the video games that have the music playing in the background, they probably have their own like artists
their
that
own
are
jizzers.
titled to the songs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, dude, it's just fucking.
I'm gonna go
fantastic.
upstairs and jizz away. I mean, come on,
Yeah, put it on.
get my guitar
Jizz
and
it
do
out.
some jizz jamming.
There you go. Oh man, that's so fucking great.
Oh fuck.
Just the fact that George literally was like, "Yeah, it's called jizz,"
Yeah, it's-
and literally just like didn't give a fuck. Like that's just the gene. Like that is the pure
it's so
genius
crazy.
of George Lucas.
Yeah, it's just like he's like, okay, we got jazz. So in Star Wars, they have jazz, jizz.
and you know that somebody was like, George,
hey,
you
come on,
fucking
man."
can't do that, dude. And he's like, what? Who's gonna like what? What's wrong
What do you
with that?
mean? Jizz?
And
He's
then-
like, I don't know what you're talking about. Jizz, jazz. Just change
Yeah,
one
but
letter.
come on.
Perfect.
Yeah, no problems. And then the guy just turns around and he's like, just fucking print it, man. Just print it.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Dover, you win that one. Good one there. And then Dover's ending. I hope we can share jizz with the world for generations to come. Me too.
Same, man.
Thank you,
Same.
Dover, and thank you, Thron Kill. We love this stupid show too. All right.
Fantastic.
All right, let's go. Back above board here, gentlemen. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. So Black Series Bonanza's hitting us with B2s on the battlefield, which is always cool looking. And this one is clearly a battlefield that is strewn with death and destruction. You can see smoke going off on the left-hand side of the frame from some sort of munition that's hit right next to them. You can see the fallen B1s in the background. I mean the lasers coming out of the middle B2 looks awesome.
these look
Posing
good.
on the B2s is great, especially in like the landscape that he has it in, this craggy landscape. Getting these fuckers to stand up straight is probably really difficult.
It's weird. Like the battle droids have grown on me over the decades. When I remember when they were like the main cannon fodder of the prequels, I was like, Roger. But you know what? I fucking love them now, and I love that the B2s look just like B1s, except they're on steroids. You know,
Yeah,
George is
they're
like,
just juiced
hey,
up. It's
just
the same
fucking
fucking
take the
head.
head and put them on steroid body. Done. Jizz band.
Yeah, there you go. Done and
I'm gonna
done.
go throw on
So,
some jizz.
Good stuff here from Black Series Bonanza, and then the last one we gotta click
I
it
know.
because it's green.
Damn it, green.
Green.
Ooh, but look how pretty that looks.
You
know, honestly, to honor the artists, I probably should just start doing this from all of them instead of using our dumbass website because they look way better like this.
Yeah, like on the actual IG site. But hey, you know what? But hey, Gree01 hits us with like just a fucking sick ass shot of this. Is this Fives? No, right? No, Fives got the thing on his head. Is this a named clone or is this just a cool looking clone?
We're just gonna go with Heavy Gunner.
Yeah, so we got the Heavy Gunner clone trooper. This is the other side. This is the other side of Black Series Bonanza's shot because you can see that this dude, this clone with his dual pistols just took out a shitload of B1s standing on their body triumphantly. The golden hour sun in the background. I mean, this is like a hero shot right here. This is like the propaganda shot that they put up at the end of the wartime advertisements. Join up now. And you got this dude sitting there with his smoking guns and a bunch of dead B1s at his feet.
Yeah.
Absolutely
We want
sick.
you.
That's right.
And Bad is
We want
clarifying
you.
that's an ARF trooper.
ARF trooper.
They
There we
drive
go.
the At RTS.
There we go. Bat always coming in. with
Bat
the
is
info.
he's a clone junkie. He's
Dude,
a clone
you gotta
junkie.
say Bat knows clone shit probably better
Yeah,
than
he's a clone
anybody
homer.
that-
There's
that-
no doubt about it.
100%.
I still need that
so.
motherfucker to print me out some shelved things from my Black Series. That, or find someone that's willing to take literally like a 100-gallon tote, maybe bigger, full of Black Series loose for like $3,000. Because I'm about there.
Yeah, but hey, maybe you can get the money. I mean, I remember when you sold all those pops.
Funko Pops
Nice.
still selling well. I have not
Nice
dipped
cash.
into the Star Wars ones yet, but if I did, I think I probably could make close to 30 or 40 grand.
Taylor's brother got me two awesome Funkos for Christmas.
go.
Star Wars Funkos.
I am
One is
surprised. Listen, I mean, I've been out of the pop game for years. I'm a godfather of pop collecting. I mean, we're talking 2010 when they came around. But they're still going. I honestly thought they were killing the brand with the oversaturation, but they honestly have become ingrained into pop culture. Pun intended.
So this was one. I won't get the other one. Maybe I'll show it on another episode.
Oh, are these the
But this is This is a Target exclusive.
Yeah,
it's
no,
hard for my camera's not going to pick it up. Right,
I know.
but
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. Target does like these arty ones. They're great.
Yeah, so that's the Target exclusive R2D2 that's got like this awesome zebra print on it. That one's really sick. And here, I'll grab the other one real quick.
League, what's your offer? Did you offer me $3,000 for all my Open Black Series? I'll drive them to New York.
So this one is a sand trooper. It's like a blue sand
Damn
trooper.
you,
Oh, man.
autofocus.
Yeah, I know.
Just
it's-
pull it
it's
back
not
towards your
catching it.
face. We'll look at it blurry or something.
Yeah, I don't
now
know.
Nick's dead.
It's-
Oh, there he is. Oh, you know what it
Okay,
is?
can you-
It's your washout that's fucking you at this point.
Yeah, it's the blur. Let me see if
Yeah.
I can kill the blur. But what it is, it's the blue. Here we go. I killed the blur. It's a blue sand trooper, and it's like blue and
Yeah,
white.
no, those
You
are
can kinda
great. Those, see, if I didn't feel
Cool
so
stuff.
guilty about how many toys I've bought or hot toys I have on pre-order, I would get some of those Target ones because it's almost like they're graffitied. You know what I mean? They really do look
Yeah.
like little pieces of vinyl art.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool when I saw him after we got back from Louisiana. He like left them at the house for us. It was like really
shit!
sick.
I just forgot. You're showing them off, and you're literally like a
tiny
little
side.
image.
But hey,
if you're on the vertical stream, you saw them all right. Hey, we're at the end of the top 5, right? I'll go back to full view.
Yeah,
or better view.
Yeah, hit him with the full view, and I'll do another little show. So yeah, let me turn off my blur, and then so this was the first one. This is the Target exclusive R2D2, like the zebra print. You can see black and white print. R2D2
much more clear
Target
now.
exclusive.
Sorry to those listening on the podcast platform. We definitely have not made this show for you today. It's a lot. Hey, look at that.
And
that looks cool. Where are they looking at? Nobody knows because they're just talking.
This one here, the blue and white Sand Trooper variant of Pop here. So
yeah, those are cool.
Really cool
those are definitely cool. Thrawn Kill, I got you beat. I got Star Wars stuff from the late 70s and 80s. All right. So, and I even got a lot of the Power of the Force stuff. I think what you're talking about from 03. One of these days, I'll go back in the cubby hole and start wheeling shit out. Nick and I will just do 2 hours of show and tell.
Yeah, right. But yeah, all right. So that was a little extra for you guys, showing off a couple little toys that I have. I'm not typically a collector like Matt is, but
bonus.
Hey, I get some cool stuff from people sometimes. But hey, that's the end of the top 5. That's the end of our show for this week. Thank you to everybody who was able to stick around for this long clusterfuck of a show where we went over Skeleton Crew finale. We went over the news drops. We gave you some art and shit. So, hey, thank you all. And Matt, go ahead and close us out.
Wait, you made me feel inadequate. You're showing stuff off. So now I want to show something off.
Matt's got to show.
Look at that.
What's he got?
He got? My Barbie Revan, man. Look at that. Hot Toys Revan. Isn't that a beautiful looking doll? And then this is one that, Thrawn showed up, but I'm not putting it on camera because that'll trigger Nick, and we don't want to get him upset right before we go. I got this one. I don't know. I guess I'm a Grogu sucker. I got IG-12 where you can jam Grogu in his chest. Right now, I've got an Anzellan in there, like a Babu Frick type.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, from this angle, it looks like you got ET in there, but yeah.
Fuck ET. I hate ET, dude. Don't you speak his name on this show. All right. No more show for you people. It's over. It's show overtime. Is that what they call it? Show overtime. Beep, boop, bop. Close it out. See you next week. No, in all seriousness, we love you people. Another fun chat today. It's great to see some new names in there. I mean, Thrawn Kill, Imperial Activity, some of the earlier ones in there. Plonk is showing up, Anthony YouTube, all the regulars, Johnny, Divided, League, Bat. Fun times. Fun times. We can always rely on you fandos out there to kind of spice up the live streams a bit. If you want to join in on the live stream, if you are just a Star Wars Time Show podcast listener, the lives are free every Wednesday. Might be switching to 5:30, but just know after 5 p. East, you're going to see our dumb faces on YouTube over at youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. In between now and our lives, though, you can always find our content on our socials. Check out StarWarsTime.net if you're new here. Easiest way to get looped into the podcast version of the show, and follow us on all the social networks we put our nonsense out on. There's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you're new here, hopefully you're starting to realize that and you believe in that. You're going to make it your mantra as you begin to meditate. Because there truly is. Keep your eyes peeled for another Skeleton Crew long-form video. I've got the script written. I hope to get it punched up and put out tomorrow, because we all know in content creation land, if you put something out on Friday, it's pretty much going to die. So be on the lookout for it. Right here, yours truly, I am looking towards the future of Skeleton Crew. Where's the plot going to go? You heard some of my teases here on the show. If you want the long-winded version, like I said, dropping tomorrow, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. All right, my friends, there's always time for Star Wars Time. Hit those likes, leave a comment, sub up, consider becoming a channel member for as low as $1.99 a month. If you want those awesome looking TikTok Thrawn emojis at your disposal, you got to be a member. If you want a Vader cat next to your name, you got to be a member. There's only one way to achieve greatness, and that is to join the Star Wars Time Show channel officially. But even if you want it for free, we love the sub and we appreciate your time, because there's always time for Star Wars time, just not our show. All right? All right, people. If you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.